everybody, welcome back to the Dave Vinno Show. I am Dave, and with me as always is the second half of the two-headed, flannelette wearing banter beast that is this show, the man himself, Vinno. Vinno, what is up, mate? Are you ready for another one?
Heaps. We are ready for another one.
I love it.
Good one too. This is going to be...
Yeah, it's a bit different.
I've been excited for this.
Now look, folks, you probably noticed for the last few weeks, because you watch this show religiously, that we've been doing these little character studies where we ask our guests 20 random questions and try to get to know them a little further and to get a glimpse into the lens that is their worldview. Now, me and Vinno thought it'd be a little bit of fun to put each other through this social experiment and to ask each other 10 questions each that the other person has not been privy to, and to see what comes of it. Vinno, are you excited for this?
Man, I am. And I'm glad we didn't do this as a first off, because it might have scared a few people away, because going through it and putting our own questions together. So we're getting rid of the wheel tonight. We're just throwing the questions out willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if we had done this first up, we wouldn't have gotten anybody to come on to do it, because this is going to be good fun, I reckon.
Yeah, I think we can be a little bit rougher with each other than we would have guessed.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, because we're a bit of
There's going to be some
boys.
tussle.
Yeah.
I hope there's some tussle. I've prepared for it. Like, I've been sitting upstairs punching myself in the head, ready for it.
Well, look, mine are
about half an hour.
Mine are a little bit. I've taken, I think, about 4 from the old that we ask everyone else, and with Toby, Colin, and Kalia, and yeah, I've taken a couple, and then I've some that are a little bit hard and a bit more philosophical and a bit, But I don't think there's anything too controversial there. But I think there's a bit of.
I pretty much I was looking through the list, and because I did something similar, but a lot of the answers to those questions that we've got, I already sort of know the answer to.
Yeah.
With you, so I just went right. Well, let's fucking mix this up a little bit, throw some extra questions in there to make it or to change it up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some of your responses on these.
Well, good. Well, should we just get cracking? Now,
just dive straight.
Let's do it. Now, I am the host
Pull
this
the
week.
pants off.
Pull it off hard. So I reckon I'll go first, all right? So this is an easy one.
You go first.
Let me just get this up here. All right.
You don't have to worry about the button tonight.
I kind of missed the wheel. Where there's a wheel, there's a way. But we found another way. And here we go. Just an easy one for you now. Who inspires you the most? Or has inspired you the most, I guess. Either one.
I'd have to say my grandfather. Dad.
I kind of thought you'd say that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
He was just, to me, he is still the greatest man I've ever known.
Yeah.
In all aspects of life. I look... Well, for an example, I look at the father he was to my dad and auntie and uncle, and the opportunities he provided for them. A lot of the stories that they tell and where they've ended up as well. I try and, or I want to provide that same opportunity for my boys. The grandfather he was, I know my dad has said a couple of times, got some big shoes to fill there.
Yeah.
So, and just his outlook on life and the way he was as well, very, very positive person, very wise. So I think if I can be even half the man that he was, then I reckon I'd be on the right track. So. That's
all, and obviously, namesake for your boy, your first boy.
Yeah. Yep. Oliver Lindley Vinson was his name, so we named my first son Oliver after him.
Yep.
So, yeah, he was very inspirational, and yeah, he's definitely what inspires me to be a better person. If I'm ever in a tough situation, I would sort of think, what would he do, or what advice might he give me if he was still here? And if I take that few minutes to think about that and whether I'd be making him proud, that's sort of what's guided me a lot over the last few years. So
It's good to have a moral axiom like that, like a person here, like, now look, I want to have a decision to make. What would this person think of if I did this or that? And then that kind of is like, you know what? Well, yeah, I love that. I love that. And I was lucky enough to meet him, folks. I was. And I met him obviously very, very late in his life. But dude was like, I sat down in a big party and I was just sitting beside him and he was telling me, you know, about his days overseas and smart as a tack, a funny man. And he did a great speech at your wedding, man. And great that he was there, and that picture of him and Ollie, brother, you know, man, so lucky. Yeah,
that's still my favourite. Yeah. But and that was the sad thing when he passed. You know, everybody gets old, but the hard part was that his mind was still there. It was very much still there. It was his body that let him down, as everyone's body does at some point. But he was still very sharp. Could tell you things as if it was happened to him yesterday, and it might have been from when he was an apprentice. So he had a very good memory for into his late 90s to still have, you know, everything working in his mind is pretty remarkable.
Dude, I struggled 15, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Man. So to even think about 60, 70 years ago, like, think of, like, wow. Yeah. But you said that there, what made it hard was that, you know, the vessel gave in. But in a way, that's how I think that's the way I would want to go. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously no one wants to go, but
and I mean that in the sense that, you know, when you see older people and they start to deteriorate in all aspects, and you sort of go, well, you don't say, shuffle off, it's your time, right? But you can sort of go, well, all right, they're in that better place now, they're at ease or whatever. It was harder, I suppose, than other grandparents when they've passed away for me, because his wife, my grandmother, she died back in 1996. So
wow.
I was still very young. I've got a memory of her, but not to that level, right? And to be able to sit there and have a talk with him and him be just seem fine mind-wise, and seem okay, and then, you know, it was the heart, the thicker, that ended up giving up, you know. So it's
Well, a cheers.
Very poor way of explaining what I meant.
I get it. Well, a cheers to him, you know.
Yeah, every time. This is his hat too that I wear every week. So
look at that. I love it.
All right. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to start you off early.
Yeah.
With some easy ones. So, what song would you say best defines you?
That's a rough one. Hot Dog by Limp Bizkit. Ain't it a shame that you can't say fuck? Fuck's just a word and it's all fucked up. Nah, look, I don't. That is a rough one, isn't it? Like,
can be a hard one. Yeah.
It's what's like lyrics are about me, or what song do I feel is like makes me feel good, or it's that's fucked, because it's hard to answer it without being a bit convoluted. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, he's got to be Stairway to Heaven, it's definitely me. Like how do you answer that?
And see, this is for your personality and how you portray yourself sometimes in public, like in their friends group, as, you know, being extremely cocky and confident, and we get a laugh at that. You know, that's why I thought, he's going to say something
like Mr. Boombastic
or something. Yeah. But when you're looking at it from a genuine perspective, it's hard, isn't it?
That's what I mean, because there is, at different times, like, it might be La Bamba by Richie Valens, it might be Mr. Boombastic, and then it might be I don't know, because I listen to a lot of folk songs, and there's a lot of folk songs about leaving your homeland and going somewhere else. So I could be far away in Australia by the Wolf Tones is a good one. It's about like going or The Streets of New York by the Wolf Tones is a good one. It's about going to a different country and kind of making your way. And so, fuck, if I had to pick one though, I would pick Mr. Boombastic by Shaggy. I'm Mr. Lover, I am, because
Mr.
Because why not?
Every time I hear that song, I just think of Ali G, right?
Oh man, what am I? I love the Ali G show as well. I think of Nevermind the Buzzcocks, which is a TV. It's a British panel show, and Mark Lamar was one of the panel hosts on that. This back in the 90s, but he came in. Yeah. He came in, like it was like a Christmas special, and he came into Mr. Boombastic on like a zip line, and that's what I think of when I think of it. But and then also been out the back of like the fucking Impy. Or was it the Impy or the Cry? Actually, it was out the.
It was the back of the Cry.
Back of the Cry when we were doing the Shaggy impressions and fucking with the bull and all. So maybe that, I don't know.
It actually started on the bus on the way back from paintballing.
That's true. Yeah. And they just,
which was the fucking
snowballed.
Best
It snowballed. But look, this whatever. I think everyone will be different. Whatever emotion you or whatever you're feeling at the time, maybe that song will change. But fuck, I feel like that's a joke answer. But I gave a couple of serious ones in there. I tried to be not convoluted and went with Shaggy. But it was just so funny. Like I know like 3 or 4 songs of Shaggy. But yeah, that'd be what I kind of want to know yours now. But that's the rules of the game.
Is that one of your questions?
Okay, I don't want to waste it. Okay, I won't waste it. All right.
No. I'm not saying that takes up one of your questions. I was just asking whether you had it already in the list.
It's not. It isn't.
I know you said the other week. You asked me this question. I was a bit confused. I'll answer yours. I'll give you a freebie.
Yeah.
So mine, I think would have to be a song called "Understand" by a band called Betrayed. More so for the last.
Is it lyrics or music?
It's lyrics and music. I love the riffs in it as well. But there's a part in there just before the final or the end of the song, and the lines, the lyrics are still growing up, still fucking up, still lost and desperate for answers. And I think the stage of life that I'm in at the moment. And all through my 20s was that, still finding my direction, still finding where I want to go and what I want to do. And I think I'm still in that period work-wise, all those sorts of things. I know what I enjoy doing, but there's a lot of pathways that have opened up for me at the moment. And whichever one I take, still trying to narrow that down and make the right choice for me. And it's not just me anymore, it's my family, which is a different thing to throw in there. So
no, definitely your family having I think when you get a partner you love, and then when you have kids, all the things that you wanted for yourself then, or that you look in your future, it has to change, right? Because it's like all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's like I've no regrets anymore. Like as soon as I remember, that's what I think gives me true happiness. It's because I think before I kind of met Em and had Maisie and Michael, it was kind of like you look back at your life, it's like, oh, I would have done this differently, But then when you get there, you're like, oh, well, you don't look, I don't look to the past anymore. Now it's all like, okay, well, how can I make my future better for them? Yep. So, oh man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
But here's your actual second question. And here it's still a bit, I don't know, I think this is maybe a bit more philosophical and retrospective, but still an easy-ish one. It's not, and none of these are controversial or anything, but and this is another one from episodes since past of our character studies. What realization has changed your life or your perspective over the last 5 years? Over the last 5 years, what has changed your perspective or your life?
First answer would be kids, right? Having kids, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, maybe I fucked that up by
beforehand.
saying
You think just about yourself and just your partner, and then kids come into it, and it changes the whole dynamic of every decision that you. But because we just spoke about that, I'll give you another one. I'm going to have to probably say, and it goes outside of the last 5 years, and it was probably Huey passing.
Yeah.
Because that opened, I think, not just my eyes, but a lot of our group's eyes to suicide as a whole. But really made me aware of mental health and made me actually pay attention and open my eyes to mental health. And, you know, the effect that has on everybody. And then witnessing that throughout our group and myself witnessing that as well. So it's changed the way I treat people. I won't say that I was an asshole deliberately to people, but I can appreciate sometimes, or I not sometimes, I try and put myself in the other person's shoes a little bit more now, whereas before I would do that to a degree and then just fucking write them off sort of thing. Whereas now I think about things a little bit deeper when it comes to the way people react and how they act, and I think more about their background and why they are the way they are, or what's going on with them. So it's changed the way that I conduct myself, I suppose, in society and with people. Just changed.
That's your complete perspective.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has. It flipped it flipped all of our worlds on its head. And then the only thing you can do from such a shit situation is try and make some sense of it in some way and understand it the best you can to prevent it happening again. And that's one way that I've tried to.
Yeah, like you're absolutely right. I mean, particularly with someone like Huey, who was kind of like this energetic type of character, like, and we've talked about it before, like the likes of a Robin Williams or these characters that are so outwardly extra and always like very funny, very fucking funny, happy to make everyone laugh, but behind it all, you know, there's the sad clown. It's been described as before, and there's, you know, that veil that and like you say, how you look at people and how you empathize with people as well. You might think, oh, this fella's fine, maybe I don't need to worry about him, or you know, but the realization that maybe there are telltale signs, and maybe you can see them in ourselves, you know, and hopefully learn from stuff like that about fucking lads. If you're ever feeling like that, and I can't stress this,
get the help.
Do it. Ask for help. That's strong as fuck. Recognizing vulnerability in yourself is a strength. Like even if you can see something that's inside you that's a risk, mitigate that shit. You know, like, it's like, okay, you know, like, I'm gonna strengthen myself even further. Like, it's just it's such a good realization to have, and not that these people don't. There's a numerous reasons why you might go down that path, whether it be chemical, depression, trauma. That there's so many ways, but not weak to speak. I hate to use cliches, but it's mad true. Come forward.
I think of all the cliches, it's probably one of the truest ones. Sense that
the cliches for a reason, right? You know.
Yeah.
Bless you, Vinno.
Got another sneeze coming here, I'm sure.
Do it. Don't let it out. Vinno.
I've used that one a fair few times. It's not weak to speak, especially against people that do put on the front, do put on the hard outer casing. Then I usually follow it up with some of my own personal experiences. What I've found that does is, you know, opens that doorway, and before you know it, they start talking, and it makes for that comfortable environment. But starting it with I start it with that's not weak to speak, and then give an example by me talking. It's has some interesting results for me in some of the experiences that I've had with people. So
yeah, you're showing them that path. You're kind of like, it's okay. Look, I'm doing it. You know, like you're opening that door.
That's right.
Know?
Yeah.
I like that. I don't know if I've said it on this podcast before, but have I said it? I probably have. The man in the hole fucking thing. Have I said that before? I think I have.
Earlier. I think it was back. Yeah.
I'll do it again. I'm gonna fucking do it again. All right. So
here we go.
All right. There's this guy. All right. And he's walking down the road, and he falls in a hole. And this is a big hole. Can't climb out of it. It's too high. All right. So what does he do? He asks for help. Oh, there's a priest walks by. He says, "Oi, Father, please help me." So the priest goes, "Oh my God, you're in a hole." So he writes him a couple of Hail Marys, a couple of Our Fathers, throws down the hole, gives him a wave and says, God bless you, wish you all the best. And he's looking at this piece of paper. He's like, how the fuck am I going to get out of this hole? So he's like, shit. All right, so he's screaming for help. He's like, help. And a doctor walks by. He's like, doctor, please, I'm stuck in this hole. And the doctor's like, oh shit. Writes him a prescription, throws him down the hole. Wish you all the best, wake up boy. And he's like, fuck, what am I going to do? So he's screaming for help. And then a friend walks along. He's like, oi, Jimmy, I'm stuck in this fucking hole. And Jimmy looks down and he goes, what the fuck are you doing in there? And he jumps down the hole. And the man looks at Jimmy, he says, what? Now we're both in the hole. What are you doing? And Jimmy looks at him and he goes, yeah, but I've been here before and I know the way out. Sometimes that's just what people need. They just need someone to empathize with them, to share your story, to help. People have been in that hole. You're not alone. Reach out to people who know ways out of that fucking hole. And there might be a couple of different ways, but you got to keep looking for the one that works for you.
Find strength in each other as well,
dude. And if you like you were saying earlier, if you notice it in people, ask your friends if they're okay. Make sure they're okay. Make sure that avenue is there. But yeah, okay. Good answer.
All right. I'm gonna mix some of these around for a second.
Is this my second one now?
This is your second one.
Fuck, right? We've got a big one today, I reckon. Then
we knew it was gonna be.
Fuck it, you're in here for the long haul.
This one's gonna be interesting.
Shit.
If you were the ruler of your own country, what would be the first law you would introduce?
It's rough because say it's this country then, right? Because I'm assuming there's already a set of laws and I have to change. Because maybe, or is it? Am I starting from a blank slate? I'm the leader. I would put democracy in there.
Okay.
I think democracy is the most important thing a country has, and that might be a bit of a kick. That might ruin Davyville. You know what I mean? But I think the most important thing in a country, in a nation, is that the people get the chance to hold you accountable. Mm-hmm. I would have a democracy with term limits because I think you have to be held accountable, and I don't think it's good for a country to always have the same person in. I think it's good to have a rehash, to change leadership, and so yeah, I'd have democracy.
Would you have age limits on it?
No. Not at all, because we just talked about your grandfather there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just one that's...
Oh, maybe a younger... Maybe... Whatever the age of vote is, I think the voting is, I think then if you're able to vote, then you should be able to run and lead the place.
Yep.
And I'll probably have that between... I want 16-year-olds to vote. I kind of do, because if they're allowed to join the fucking army and they're allowed to have a job... And they're, you know what I mean? Then they're allowed to have sex.
They're allowed to have a say.
You know what I mean? Well, if you're allowed, exactly right. If you're able to do these things, well, maybe you should be able to have a say in that. So, maybe 18. I don't know. But regardless of that, first law, democracy with term limits. I think that's because you can see other countries in the world and in our past and in I just think absolute power corrupts absolutely, and yeah.
Now, would you call it democracy or would you call it Daveocracy?
I'd call it. I think for it to be, I'd let the people choose. And hopefully they would choose Daveocracy.
I was hoping with that question that there would be a very Dave answer.
Look, I want now because if I'm answering truthfully, it'd be that, because I think if you don't do that, ultimately they'd fucking hang me. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm looking after number one. And I don't want to do it forever. Put a nice pension in there, like we do for our prime ministers and shit. Like, I want to retire well and be remembered well. I'd like that. Like, it's Costa Rica. All right, Costa Rica is another one. When they had their revolution, they had a big bloody revolution, kind of like the likes of Cuba, but differently than Cuba. He didn't put himself in there as the military junta. He didn't put himself in power, and he disbanded the military. It's another cool thing, and now they don't have a standing army. Costa Rica, they have a police force and all, of course, but they don't have a standing army. But I think it's very powerful when powerful people make the right decision. You know what I mean? Because it might be great to have a Daveocracy, and rule number one is everyone's called Dave, and Limp Bizkit's the national anthem. You know what I mean? Like I could do that, but I think there's only so much people could take, and I don't want to get the Mussolini treatment. You know,
I just asked your first law. I didn't want your follow up law.
Oh, there's many more, right?
Yeah.
Naked Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But I think that's the first one, and then, you know, if they don't like the rest of the laws, they can kick me out. But I don't want to be held accountable via the Mussolini treatment. So that'd be it. Be it, I think.
Cool.
Now,
there you go.
Are you ready for number 3, Vinny?
Let's have it.
This is again another one. I'm sticking with it for the moment, and then I'll veer off, So this is an interesting one as well.
You'll give me the Toby treatment.
This is a Toby question, I think. Was it Toby?
Okay.
I think it might be Toby or Colin. I get them mixed up daily. So here it is. If you could share a meal and a group conversation with any 4 individuals, living or dead, who would they be? And I'll hold the fingers up for you. So we can keep log.
This is an interesting one. Only 4 individuals. Martin Luther King Jr.
MLK.
I can't think of one in particular, but I think one would be a traditional elder.
Yeah.
There is multiple there that I would like to sit down and talk with for multiple reasons.
Change these fingers so it doesn't.
Because I might be there.
It's like, they might tune in later in the show and be like, why is Dave fucking giving the fingers to Vinno? Like Martin Luther King, MLK, a traditional indigenous elder. Do you mean someone from now or someone from...
No, from past. So one that I could talk about the experiences of the first interactions.
Yep. Okay, so are you talking about before invasion?
Colonization.
Oh, okay, shit. You're warring that motherfucker. Yeah.
Oh, not only that, but
to see what the mindset was before.
Content. Yeah.
Right.
Answer a lot of questions, I think. King or dead, hey?
Fuck, all mine would have been all 4 turtles. So how are you going, lads? Pizza for the meal? Should we? Nah, you're doing great.
This is a tough one. Elvis.
Fuck yes. He got.
I want to sit and have a chat with Elvis.
And have a chat. Elvis chatting with them as well. That's like, you're thinking there's an intermingling here too.
Yeah.
Fuck, he's a sexy man. But anyway, that was supposed to be an indoor monologue. But
I'm sitting here thinking too. Who else? I'm going to say him again, Dad.
Great choice.
Have one last chat.
Great
Have
choice.
one last chat
Oh,
with him.
bro, you're absolutely right. And to also have him, amongst them, good. That'd be a good discussion.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. That's a fucking tough one.
It is a tough one. Like, cause I'd like Christopher Hitchens, who's passed away now, but he's a big atheist. I'd have him. Fuck, who would I have? It is a tough one. It's not my question, so I won't get into it. But it is a tough one. There's a couple. I would probably pick people who are past, I think, because obviously that's the opportunity to bring them back, and also to
Yeah.
That'd be a fruitful conversation, though. I think
it'd be one that if I had a free notice of that one, there'd definitely be.
I think poor old Elvis is going to be sitting there quiet, though, eh?
Nah.
Be like, hey, everybody, mind if I play a song in the background? Are you ready for nothing but a rubber? Oh, man.
Nah,
I think it'd be good.
Yeah. That'd be my picks.
I love it.
All right.
Give me number 3.
This is your number 3, question number 6 in total, isn't it? Pardon me.
The 6th question.
David.
Darfed.
Dahi Gloshna.
Dahi or Glashna.
Where do you stand
Shit.
on the trans people in sports issue?
Which sport?
In any sport. So as far
It's
as
rough. Like,
the current discussion and the current debate around trans people being women or men going into...
well, look, that's a different question. Let's talk about...
events.
So, first off, right, very nuanced question. I think that trans people should be respected in sport. So regardless of someone who is born a male or a female going over to men's sports or women's sports, regardless of that, I think ridiculing people and being bigoted towards is wrong. So just as racism in sport, I would eliminate that. Now, it's very nuanced. Are we talking about gymnastics, like the ribbons, or are we talking about fighting? Because it's very different.
Well, this is where the discussion is difficult.
So
at the moment,
so
right? Because it's
rough, because there are paths you can take. I think what a lot of people do, and on both sides, is they conflate the difference between gender and sex. So gender generally is, when you walk into a clothes store, there's the men's aisle and the women's aisle, right? And I don't think you need to be born biological male or a female to shop on either side of that, right? So that's gender, okay? And then there's obviously biological sex, which is and that's where I think the empirical rules would come from in sports. So I think in physical sports where you're competitive and there's contact, I think that women's sports or biological female sports, because that's a conflation now, was invented or created as a safe space for female athletes to be able to compete. All right. So there's an argument for that. I mean, if you got rid of gender in sports, there probably would be no biological females at a competitive level. Right. Now, there are arguments that here's the problem. What do you use self-ID for who's a trans person, or do you use someone who has gone through gender affirming care? Because if you want to just use self-ID, then someone has gone through a male puberty. If we're talking about someone going into women's sports as someone who's born a biological male, going into sports competing with biological females, if they have gone through male puberty, then that is if we're talking about fighting, that is a huge advantage. That is a huge advantage in a lot of physical sports. So for that, I would probably say no. Now, the argument might be, hey, there's this, if you are on puberty blockers, if you at the right age, and if you're taking the right hormone therapy, you can level that out. And there is a great argument for that. And if we were to say, okay, then if you've done this, this, and this, then yes, you can come into biological female sports, that women's sports, right? But then you're still excluded. Then you're telling trans people that may have later on in life transitioned, okay, well, you're not allowed, so you still have to go back. So you're still being exclusionary, okay? So what is the level and what is the acceptance and what is right? Now, I think let's use a crazy example here, because that's what we're doing now. Brock Lesnar, okay? If Brock Lesnar decided, hey, I identify as a woman, I don't think, because it's too late now for Brock Lesnar, he's not going to be able to go on puberty, but he's done become Brock Lesnar in that time. However, I do think he should be respected as a woman in the men's league. I think Brock Lesnar should be able to present as a woman. I think we should use, if Brock Lesnar's pronouns are she, her, I think we should say, that's Brock Lesnar, look at her go. You know, she's a woman in the men's division. I think that should be respected. But because of the physical advantages Brock has, I don't think he should be allowed. And the reason why I think it becomes hairy when we start to say, okay, maybe we let biological males who transition very early and don't have those physical attributes them in, you're still being exclusionary to I think it's very nuanced, and I think it depends by sports. And we're talking about professional regulated sports here.
Yeah. Because
I think that's a big thing too. I don't give a fuck outside in your local leagues. I don't give a shit, because they're not checking dudes for when I played for Greta Branks and Colts, the minor major premiers in 2005-06 to I got the trophies to prove it. I wasn't drug tested. No one checked my genitals. So I don't think that matters. I don't give a shit. Men are allowed to take I would have been allowed to take testosterone and get on the fucking hormones, and no one would give a fuck. But when it gets to that level where we're actually we're checking weights in like in fighting, we're checking drug testing, where men can't even take testosterone past a certain level. Women can't change their they can't be more. They can't have testosterone to become stronger. Okay, and it's both. It goes both ways. I think that's very different. But so regulated sports, I would say no, and then I don't think we're at the level where it can be competitive yet. And I think you're still being exclusionary to folks that may not be able to meet that. So I think sports is separated. The majority of sports is not separated by gender. I think it's separated by sex.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's different. You know what I mean? So I will still respect someone's gender. I'll still respect their pronouns. But I think that's where the conflation becomes, because you might,
no matter what, especially
I have to keep adding prefaces to this because it's such a touchy subject.
Look, I think exactly what you're saying there.
Because some people might say that's not a woman.
Safety comes first.
That's a man.
Yeah, look,
and that's just you not understanding what gender is. You know.
Look, this argument can go many ways, and it so many times it does, right? The overriding factor, I think, it needs to be safe for everyone. It needs to be safe, and safety trumps all other aspects, and that's what the whole outlook needs to be. And I think that's, you know, with you saying with Brock Lesnar, right? Him identifying as a woman and then going into a women's league, it's not safe, right? Not for him, like it's safe for him, but for women that he is competing against and fighting, it is not safe for them because of his natural benefits, right? From him going through male puberty. So it's going to be an ongoing question until
what if there was a pill? If there was a pill that a person could take that would negate all that, and it would just then, because here's the thing, we do have athletes that have like a Brock Lesnar or like a Michael Phelps, or like people that genetically have these upper hands, right? Like Michael Phelps has this, he's got something where he's able to produce white blood cells faster than any, you know what I mean? And he's got like double joints or whatever like that. Should he be allowed to compete? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I mean. Is it unsafe? Is it unsafe him competing in any league? Right.
Well,
is it unsafe for the other competitors?
Well, no. Because
I'm not
there's no
talking about
safety
fairness.
involved in
That's
swimming.
right.
So do you think swimming is okay then? Because it's not about safety.
With the first outlook being safety, right?
Because that's the Leah Thomas argument, right? Still has the physical, what would you call it? Physical advantages of having gone through male puberty. But if you're looking at safety first,
that's the way I look at this, right? For trans sport, I look at safety first. When I say trans sport, I talk about
trans people in
issue. Safety first, right? So if it's a contact sport, safety first in any of those, because that's what needs to be the overriding factor in any of those decisions. When it comes to those non-contact sports or non-physical sports,
like darts,
darts and all those, and this is where it's a broad question, and there's no one right answer, right?
Brock should be able to play in the women's darts league, right?
Yeah, safety is not an issue there for me, right? And that's my overruling factor with it. If you were to talk about fairness as far as body composition and those sorts of things, that needs to have further studies and extra rulings put in for a multitude of reasons. It's not just a yes or no answer for me. I understand your response with physical, and I agree with you 100%, right, with that, because it's not safe. When it comes to, say, swimming, the example that you've used,
still physical advantages though. If you got rid of gender in swimming, there probably would be no women competitive swimmers or biological female.
That's what I mean, and that's where I'm getting to.
Yep.
So I think the male and female, or men's and women's leagues move away, and you go to an open, and then a whether you call it a closed league, where there is that extra criteria and there is extra stipulations on that. So you remove the whole gender, sex title from it altogether, so that you have it open, and then a stricter league, right, where there is testosterone levels, early intervention, or early medications, and transitioning from an early age. So I can't even think of the word at the moment.
Gender affirming care. There's lots of it changes. It changes all the time.
It does. That's why I'd
love to have a trans person on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that'd be great.
But I think that's the way.
Or someone who knows what the fuck.
So when I say an open league, I'm not talking about like just lets everybody go hell for leather on steroids and shit, right? I'm talking about somebody who was transitioned into a man. Yep. Open league.
Yep. Right,
you're in that, and that might have, say, for swimming, it might have different classes. I don't know much about swimming. And you would fit in that based off your weight, all those sorts of things. And that would remove, I think, a lot of that discussion in where they can fit in, because you're going off testosterone levels and levels within their body that defines which one they're in.
Yeah.
And where they're going to.
And I think if anyone's listening, really, I think regardless of rules and where this goes, I think it is important to understand the difference between sex and gender, and regardless of if you don't let biological men in women's sports or biological women in biological male sports, that everyone, I think it's, if you do understand the difference between sex and gender, that you should allow them to present and to have their pronouns in whatever gender they want, right? And And again, like I keep going back to recreational sports. Like, how are you going to check? That's a bit of an issue to me. Like, when I was playing, no one checked under the hood for me. You know, so there's going to get to the times where you're not going to be able to tell.
I've used this example, you know, before, right? So in say rugby league, up to a certain age, you've got girls and boys playing together in the same team, right? It's when they start to get to the puberty ages where that splits apart for reasons that we've just spoken about, right? Bodies change. And that's where those two leagues separate. So yeah, as a kid in kids' sports, you've already got boys and girls playing.
There is rough
together.
questions though. What about someone who's generally born intersex?
What?
Like a hermaphrodite. I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore. Well, where do they go?
I don't.
Because that's if people want to talk about that's science and. Well, where does that person get? Does they get to choose? Do they get? You know what I mean?
Like, if you go to an open league and goes based off, and like I said, it has to have scientific backing and all those sorts of things to move in there. There would have to be stipulations, but I think that the biggest thing at the moment is it's got to be an open and genuine conversation from both parties,
and a respectful one.
Right? I understand trans people feeling like being punched against the wall time and again, and when somebody gets kicked out of a league, that they are annoyed about it and cranky. I get the other side of it where, you know, there's anger and frustration because, you know, the women's league has tried for so long to be as competitive as men's sport as far as funding and all those sorts of things, and then you've got
that's a way to hear
people coming in.
Isn't that a way to get eyes on the spot? Like, who the fuck has given
absolutely.
a shit?
But I'm talking about from their side of it, you know, like, and there's frustration on that side, and what tends to happen is there is just back and forth abuse, and nothing productive happening, and far too often it just gets to the point where they lock heads and nothing gets done because it's just constant slander. And instead of using that as an opportunity to go, right, so how can we do this? How can we look at improving this? How can we look at including them or getting this over the line to happen? Do we change the ruling of the leagues? Do we change this? Do we bring in those sorts of things? And with a lot of debates at the moment, it does get down to that very emotional, fuck you, you
memes,
transphobic, or, you know, you're cancel culture, or all this other bullshit, right? They're just throwing names and writing people off instead of looking and seeing where the other person's coming from, understanding their point of view as best you can, and having an open and genuine discussion. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand that at some points there is people that are just going to say shit and throw hatred out for the sake of being fucking spiteful, hateful. There might be a troll, something like that. I get that. I'm talking about genuine conversation between parties that are involved in looking to move forward, you know?
Yeah, there's people that don't take it seriously, are just trying to be provocative, are very ignorant of the subject in itself, and come across looking like an asshole. Okay, they're not helpful. They're just not helpful. But that might be a cry for help to try and understand as well. So I think you got to be mindful of trying to win those people over as well. But
people have an opinion, and it's okay to change that opinion through, but it takes discussing
or to not change it.
Open conversation with. Yeah, look, absolutely. If you believe someone's wrong, have a discussion with them and keep it from getting abusive and aggressive and hateful, because you're not going to bring somebody over by trying to break them down with abuse. It's never going to happen. But applying valid and genuine arguments that are going to sell your point of view to try and change their opinion. Like, everyone can have an opinion. You don't have to always voice that opinion. But yeah, you see it in a lot of things, not just this. With with a lot of issues in society at the moment, where if I've got a different opinion from you, instead of us talking about, fucking pick our sides.
Well, we end up in buckets, right? I mean,
Yeah.
now there's a fucking a rabbit hole you have to go down if you fall. Like, say this trans people in sports. It ends up separating us all in two different buckets. Well, I'm on this side and I'm on this side, and I end up watching and getting caught in an algorithm over here for this side, and I go down that route. And it's the same with other people. And ultimately, it's sports is games, and it's supposed to be fun, and all sports is just a rule set. Sports was war, and then the first ever sport was fighting. I believe the first ever sport was one guy hit another guy, and then there was another guy standing in between. And this what's made it a sport. There was a fourth guy who's like, I'm watching this. You know, like, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, and then ultimately, like, there's ancient sports and team sports and all that kind of stuff. And if you look at the women's soccer league, like, all them collectively voted to letting trans men in. Like, and it's there. Sports are ultimately clubs and leagues that build their own rules. And you, as league fans, I mean, I haven't watched league in a long time. I stopped watching it. But think of how many rule changes like that changed the whole game. Like, shoulder charges got rid of the game. Video refs changed the game. Like all these things, like the idea of league and union, like, completely changed the whole game. And if you look at league and union,
set in stone.
Well, look at league and union. There's a Preston Campbell and there's a Petro Civoniceva. So we're talking about fucking different body compositions and bone density and fast twitch muscles, and, you know, you've got Matt Riddells with their bellies and Nathan Hindmarsh's with their arses hanging out, and Joey, you know what I mean? Like, we've all these different body compositions, and I remember, and again, I'm going to give a rep out to the Greek of Brankston Colts. There were kids, man, that I was playing when I was 15, 16. I'll never forget the man called Moses. He was a 16-year-old, and he was 6'5", and he had a giant afro, and he was playing with all of us. You know what I mean? And there was none of us going, "Oh, like, he should be playing up." And there is some argument for that. Like, you do see parents going, "He shouldn't be playing in it." But sorry, this is one of those sports where whatever body shape you are, you can fit in and do, like. So there's lots of arguments with this, and there's a lot of nuance, and part of sport in general is arguing and being an arsehole and hating another team and all. But I think we have to just step back a little bit. Just
but
realise
the sport has to progress.
Yeah,
right?
sport has to progress,
you
and we have to respect the people
and
involved, right? We're all people, and we've all an opinion, for fuck's sake, about sport. But as long as we're not attacking the person, and we're discussing the rules and what needs to happen and what should happen or what shouldn't happen, I think that's where we should go for. And sorry for the long-winded answer. I think I might hit half an hour there. I don't know, but
I fucking
it deserves
it as well.
It deserves a conversation, and I'd like to get people on to talk about it. And I think that sports is separate, and sex and gender is separate. So I think in my opinion, there's the what is a woman question, right? And that can become very inflammatory and hateful in itself, on both sides, okay. But I think we've lost. If you
do have an opinion,
of
jump
the
in
the people aspect of it.
Yeah. If you do have, a bit to say, jump in the comments. Send us one comment. Don't comment multiple times, and then don't come on the show and bitch out.
If you want to have a day and week and month long conversation and argument with the comments, look, we've got families, you know what I mean. So we have we're happy to answer a couple of questions in the comments, but we put aside this time to have these type of discussions and to get into it. And we're more than happy if any one of you motherfuckers down there, you lovely bastards or bitches or whoever's in between, to come on the show and chat with us, and we'll treat you with respect and love, no matter how you see yourself or us. Like, we respect everyone as human beings, and we will respect your gender and pronouns on this show. Absolutely.
At the end of the day,
up for the argument. Let's do it in a respectful way.
At the end of the day, stop being a little bitch, Robert, and come on the show.
Robert Bonsley in the comments. Come on the show, brother. Come on the show. I'm not having week-long arguments with you. Vinno's very fucking nice enough to talk with you. But there comes a point when it's like, okay, like, we're having this conversation that's a week long, that's actually 5 minutes. You know what I mean? But we can't keep like, it will be so much quicker, and a lot gets lost in text. And I think that's another thing with Twitter and Facebook and all these things where we're reading things in a different tone, and that's where a lot of the arguments come from, and a lot of the divisiveness comes from. So if we come on that you will put a face to everyone, we humanize each other and have that debate, argument, discussion, whatever you want to call it. But also have a beer or not have a beer, and fucking, you know, have a decent chat about it, a yarn, as we used to say in the day. But but yeah.
Anyway,
let's chat about it. What was that? Was that
that was my number 3 to you. So that's 6 all up.
Now
so.
we're getting close to the hour long mark. Do we have a break
We're
now,
nearly
or
at
do
the halfway.
we do 4 each?
Let's get to the 10 each.
10 each?
Maybe. Let's just see how we go.
Okay, now look. So this is my number 4.
No, 10. Let's get up to question 10 between the two, so 5 each.
5 each. Okay, so this is. I can't believe we're
Depending on
going
how
for
long
that.
the
That was a great thought-provoking conversation. And I feel like now I'm letting us down because I haven't got to my deepness yet. So mine is a fucking fluff question. If you could play drums for any band, past or present, who would it be?
Pennywise was strung out.
Fuck yeah. Next question. Now, why is that? Why is that, Vinno? Is that I know for the fact these were bands that were instrumental in, pardon the pun, in you actually forming your style and getting into them. Yeah.
Byron McMacken is still my idol when it comes to drum. I just love his pace, his energy, and it was the first drummer. Well, he was the first drummer that I heard and sort of sat back and went, "Holy fuck! Like, this is cool." You know, I'd listened to other drummers before and stuff, but he was the first one where I went, "That's fucking amazing." And I'd love to play in Strung Out just because I love that band. I love that music. It'd be so fun to play, and I think, yeah, same Pennywise.
Yeah,
that fast, but yeah, it's a tie between those two. Yeah.
Hells yeah.
Oh,
that was so quick. That was so I guess after the last one, that was an easy. You didn't even have to think about that. You're like, these two bands. Here we go. If you had to choose one, I'm guessing it's Strung Out. From what I can hear, if you had to choose one, or do you think you'd be better suited to Pennywise with your style?
I don't know, man. My style's changed over.
Who could you do justice to? Who would you fit in with band-wise the most with?
If we're talking,
the drummer died. They're looking for drummers, and you can only audition for one, and you audition and you're gonna get it. Which one? Now we're talking. Pick between your children. That's what it's like.
Yeah,
you're not dissing another one.
You know what I would do? I would do the hard yards and play for both at the same time.
No. Zero answer.
Look, I'd probably go for. Probably do.
Now remember,
Pennywise.
Whatever you choose, if you choose Pennywise, that means the drummer of Pennywise is dead. So you've now taken his place. You're going to be hated by Pennywise for this guy. Who's the drummer for Pennywise?
Byron.
Yeah, he's like, he's no Byron. That's what they'll say. Who's this guy trying to take Byron's spot?
Look, if I was good enough,
you're good enough, and you were
pick for them, and they go, righto, yeah, you're the person that can replace him. I would walk around with a permanent heart on, right? So,
oh God, well, that's an issue.
But yeah,
all right, I'm happy with that.
Before you throw any more fucking crossroads in there, let me get to the next.
This is 4 now, yeah? So this is our 8th question.
It is.
My next was so stupid. Items, sorry, go on.
What 3 items would you take on a deserted island?
I would bring with me lumber, a book from how to build a ship with lumber, and a map. No. Or does it have to be like what do I want to live with on the desert island?
No. Any What would you take with you? You were leaving. You knew you were going to be.
I'm gonna be. Well, I would pick a book that says how to make a boat with the materials from a desert island. Or bring a toolbox.
No, deserted. It's just deserted. So it's not desert. It's a deserted island.
So it's a fucking rock.
It could have rock. It could have. Right. It could have fucking trees on it.
Is there food on the island?
I'll change it so there's no human inhabitants on the island.
Okay, cool. So I'll take a book with me of how to make a bow. I would bring a tool. Could I have it? Like, do I only get to take a hammer, or can I take a toolbox with me? Like what? Like
any 3 items? 3 items.
3 items. So like,
there's 3 items. So you can't say a whole toolbox full of tools because that's numerous items.
Oh well, then I'll take the book on how to build a raft boat, like a little dinghy. Swiss Army knife.
Okay.
And a lighter. Oh no, a flint.
Okay.
I think that's what you have to do, right? I think
that deserted island is now just a rock, so there's no trees.
So now okay, so I'm gonna die after how many days? No, there's no food.
I'm just fucking doing to you what you did to me, you prick.
Oh, okay, well, okay.
No,
well,
cool. So a knife, a book on how to build a boat,
live
and a
on?
flint.
If forget about leaving the island. If I have to go there, and what would I pick to live with? I would bring like an iPod. I guess I can't bring a phone, so I'd bring like an iPod or something to listen to music for, an MP3 player.
Mm-hmm.
I would bring a Swiss Army knife. I think that's going to be handy for me getting around and doing stuff, right? If I've only one thing, like, or a Gerber or some shit.
Yep.
And
what about a charger for that iPod?
It's unlimited charger. This one. It's solar. It's solar.
I love the
charge.
hypotheticals.
Yeah. Well, now I want to rock. You know. And a fishing rod. Have a flick.
Okay.
Have a flick.
Cool. Have a flick.
Have a flick. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, cool.
This 5 for me now. Oh, this is such a funny
This is 5 for you. Good.
Vinno, what are dreams? And what purpose, if any, do you think they serve? Because I have a theory about this. Go on.
Oh, okay. What are dreams?
And what purpose, if any, do you think they serve you?
We're talking dreams as in when you're asleep.
Yeah, not daydreams like, God, I wish I was a fireman. Not like that, like, as in, like, dreams like when you fall asleep, when you're unconscious, the experiences you have.
So I think dreams come from I'll think of the word in a second. Those, you can probably help me here. They're deep thoughts or thoughts
like
in
subconscious
thoughts that could be just thoughts. They could be something that you've seen that day or something about it. I don't think they serve any major purpose. I used to have a theory or thought about it in the sense that when you have a dream at night, it might be thoughts essentially erasing themselves from your subconscious, or being burnt up because it was a thought and something sitting in the background of your mind that needed to clear some space. So we're gonna fucking throw this out while we're having a sleep when you're in that deep REM pattern, to clean the mind and empty it out. But now I don't know, as far as purpose, I don't think they serve any purpose. I think the mind is a very powerful thing, and when we're in that deep sleep period, when we do start having dreams, essentially just be a way of it doing its job and preparing and resting. And as a I can't explain too much.
A mad question. Can I tell you what I think? All right. So there are some theories about your pineal gland and DMT being released when before you die and when you sleep, and on a hallucinogen like DMT is something obviously you can smoke, and like Joe Rogan, any Joe Rogan fans out there know what I'm talking about, and you can have this experience, and it's an hallucinogenic experience that can change your life, and it can make you think deeply about stuff. But I think what dreams are, and this is a batshit random dude with I'm a welder by trade, you know what I mean, like listen to me, right? Or don't. But I think they're a primal way to prepare you for situations that you might not be going through. So when you have a dream, sometimes it's an experience, right, that can actually make you, like, you could wake up from dreams like, fuck, I felt like I was dying then, or fuck, I felt like I was having this experience for real, or you can lucid dream. But we don't go through enough experience nowadays. You know the endorphin you get when you finally get a fire lit, or when you're having a flick and you catch a fish of accomplishment, or a bear attack, God forbid, you know. I think dreams are kind of our way of like forcing you to have these experiences and to think about stuff and to look inward and to better yourself, or again to have these experiences and to change your subconscious and make you think. So I think you might have a dream. What's a good example? You might have a dream, say, of experiencing death. Like I remember having a dream one time where I was dying in my dream, and in my dream I was like, all the rush of emotions in your mind of, oh my god, I've got 5 minutes left, I want to see my kids, I want, you know what I mean, like, and it gave, I fucking thought I was dying. And then I woke up and I was like, oh thank fuck. And at first you think, you know, when you wake up, oh, I'm still dying, or like, am I dying? You know, and you're in that half a dream sense. But I think that experience is like, okay, that prepared me a little bit, you know, for maybe to think and to ponder about these things, and maybe it made me feel like, okay, life is precious, and one day I'm gonna feel that, you know. But it also might be something silly like, okay, men prepare, or people prepare, I should say, for the bear attack. I love the bear attack analogy because it's like never gonna happen, you know what I mean? But most men have a plan for if a bear should attack, or you know, you think in your mind, if that motherfucker ever tried to fight me, whatever, you know, what I'd do, you know, like you think these things in a daydream. But I think dreams are literally your body and your subconscious trying to prepare you for experiences that you may have or you won't go through in life.
So what about dreams that are recurring memories?
Well, like, again, that might be something you're trying to battle with yourself. Now, someone, not myself, who may have had experienced hallucinogenic drugs like LSD or mushrooms or whatever, you know, you have what is considered an ego death, where you might look inward and you might think, oh my god, you might need a dream, or you might need an experience on a substance to truly understand, oh man, I'm an asshole when I'm doing that, or god, why am I doing that? Like, there has been studies, and there has been what would you call, like, social experiments where they have used LSD to try and help people to
force
addictions.
an epiphany.
Well, yeah, to force an epiphany, or to help people get off serious drugs like heroin or cocaine or those type of meth, because it forces you to kind of, your ego dies, and you can actually see past the blockage that you're having in your brain. Obviously, don't do drugs, kids, because I'm telling you right now, this is your brain, right? You're going to take LSD and your brain will go like this. Then you come down from LSD, but your brain is never back to that. It's like, and every time you take it, you know what I mean? And then you're that guy. Then you're that guy walking down the street. Fucking, you know that poor homeless dude with a mental issue that's fucking shouting at the wall? He's caught in a loop. He's caught in the dream. You know what I mean? And it's so sad. But
he doesn't know he's there.
He's in the forever dream. You know what I mean? But whatever. And that he's probably having a great time. But sadly, we can see the deterioration. But I do think dreams are us, our body, trying, because there's so many things that are like sex. What is an orgasm? An orgasm is giving you an incentive to procreate or have. Now we've elevated ourselves above animals to where now orgasms are for fun, they're leisure. You know, now we're going for fishing. You're going fishing for fun. We're camping and we're getting these endorphins for fun, right? And then we live our lives and we do different. We've elevated ourselves from primitive animalhood. Okay, so we're a different being. And maybe AI will and cyborgs will morph with that and become something totally different. But I do think that dreams are a part of our primitive experience to try and prepare us for things that might not happen in our normal lives and that aren't happening, or like you mentioned earlier, to force us to think about and to look deep within our subconscious. You know, they make you might wake up from a dream and think, fuck, it might make you question your whole attitude towards something just from a dream. That was your question. Well, here,
in the interest of needing to go for a piss, right?
Oh, we only going 8 now, are we? Oh no, you have one question.
That was me. You just asked me.
That's 5. So we're at 9.
That
That's 9.
Yeah.
Do you want to do? Do you want to do? Do you want to do 10 now, or do you want to?
Here you go. Here we go. No, here's 10. List 2 pet peeves. 2 things that really piss you off.
They're nearly the same. Okay. I hate extreme politics. So this is my first pet peeve. If you're on the far right or the far left, you've nearly lost me. That's why I'm a milquetoast centrist, progressive liberal type. I would fall left leaning on things because I'm very... I think if you're a more empathetic person, generally you do lean on that side, and workers' rights, all that type of stuff. But I hate the extremism on either side, because I'll listen and talk to the fringes, and I'll even talk to the extremists. But I hate people that will not budge or will not listen and talk and have a discussion with anyone in the middle or on that side. So there's far lefties that hate centrist people like me, or hate liberals and progressive people like me, and they want socialism and communism and bloody revolution. And then there are conservatives and far right wingers that are fucking extreme bigots and will not listen or empathize with anyone that's outside of their traditionalist or of their views. All right, and I hate extremists on both sides. So I guess that's one of them. Mm-hmm. And the other one, pet peeve, would be... Now, I want to think of something... No, I fucking treasure that. I treasure the Battle of Colin. I love Colin. Colin's in a lot of ways...
Colin's a fucking gem.
Yeah, me and Colin clash so much that he's too important to me life. In that sense, and we might not like to admit it about each other, but we're very he's, well, at least from my side, he's very important to my life, you know. So I like having him as an adversary and as an axiom, as a moral axiom, and as someone that I love dearly and care about immensely. But yeah, I like being a peeve to him, I guess. But pet peeves, there's people who are unwilling to to listen to other people, and then I hate people that are not hate, but a pet peeve of people is that people that are only willing to antagonize people. So there are people that are like, oh yeah, here's this. Oh no, it was just a joke. I'm just trolling. I'm just this, you know. Like, well, have the discussion or don't. I'm an edgy joker. I like edgy jokes and all. But if you're not willing to laugh, but then have the serious discussion, well, then you're kind of useless. Right?
They want to get the attention and then have the discussion.
Yeah. But as soon as we have the discussion and you fall short, then your joke's shit. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like, have a bit of beef behind it. You know what I mean? The best jokes and the best comedians have the truth in there lined in it. Like your Dave Chappelle's, like your Bill Hicks's, like your George Carlin's, like your old school Eddie Murphy's, like your, you know, these guys. have a ring of truth into it and a discussion about their jokes. Right? But don't.
Well, that's one of Dave Chappelle's. That's
his mantra.
altogether.
Now he's kind of, I think, through defensiveness, he's changed.
He's a really
recently,
good storyteller. Oh, look, yeah, but he's a really good storyteller and throws the jokes in there and then finishes it with a really fucking out of the blue punchline.
And thought provoking. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but some of his newer stuff is really interesting. You know, for that reason that he puts the funny spin on it, but he is definitely a guy that you can listen to and go, oh fuck, righto, he's got something to say.
Yeah, like my favorite thing from Dave Chappelle, he had a whole joke. If you have a chance, anybody listen, look up Dave Chappelle. I think it's How Old is 15 Really? And he had a whole discussion about 15 because he was and how we look at people at the age of 15 very differently. Like, there was a little black kid who was doing wrestling out the backyard, and he paralyzed and killed another kid. I think he killed another kid, or he paralyzed another kid. And there was moral outrage. Lock him up, try him as an adult. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's got all this agency. He knew what he was doing. Or even a 15-year-old that might rob a bank or might shoot another person. You're like, oh no, give him or the Bulger kids. You know, like dude. Oh, it's such a rough subject. But they knew what they were doing. They're not kids anymore. Send them to jail. And then there's the 15-year-old that was with R. Kelly. She didn't know what she was doing. She can't make that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's like, well, let's make a decision. He's like, well, if they're old enough to go to jail for murder, then they're old enough to decide whether they want to be peed on by R. Kelly. So like, that was his joke at the end of it. But it made you think. It's like, and you can look at it as like 16. They can't vote. They're not smart enough to do that. It's like, okay, we sent you to war. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at 17,
you're old enough to have sex.
Yeah, you can have sex,
with
but you can
under.
have children, which that means.
Yeah.
But we don't think you should be able to decide who gets to decide what laws. You know, so very thought provoking. I love that. And Bill Hicks, George Carlin, you know, these guys, thought provoking comedy. You know what I mean? A lot of the best comedy and edginess makes you really think, and it's not to attack somebody. You know what I mean? It's to kind of understand that there are these moral grey areas, but ultimately,
what I like about Dave Chappelle is nobody's off limits. Like, he gives everybody a fair go, and that's
like Ricky as well. Ricky Gervais.
Outlook. Yep, he gives everybody a fair go in the sense that he's going to take the piss out of you, but he'll stand with you when he believes it's warranted.
Like black civil rights, he's a champion of.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you have a look at a lot of the black jokes that he used to do on the Dave Chappelle show, right?
But he's against them now.
Thought provoking. Yeah, but a lot of them then, even still, were thought provoking and funny, right? It was a bit on things. So the best one for me, the old Dave Chappelle show, was the Black White Supremacist.
That's right. Yeah.
It was where he was playing the.
Oh, what was his name?
The role.
It's not
of
Tyrone Biggums, is it?
No,
because he was the crackhead.
Yeah.
And he's. Yeah, I remember.
I can't remember the name, but he was a blind black man who was a white supremacist and a leader of a white supremacist movement. And to me, that shit was clever because. He
divorces when he found out he divorced his own wife because she was an N-word lover. Oh man, yeah.
But even the question, like, where he's such a strong speaker, and even the white supremacists want this black guy to come and talk at KKK meetings because he
didn't know he was being used.
That's right. Yeah. But it's funny.
But here's another thing.
Funny because it's happening right now too.
With Dave Chappelle himself. Yeah, I think they would call them the Uncle Toms, which is Muhammad Ali unfairly would call people like Joe Frazier and George Foreman. But Dave Chappelle battled with that himself. I mean, he stopped the Chappelle show through the third season and left for Africa because he felt, hold on, I feel like white people are laughing at this.
Yep.
And maybe I'm a vessel that's doing harm, because he had people in the black community going, Dave, you're painting us.
Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah. There was a lot of people that were like, you're painting us like crackheads and this and that, and you're making us. So he had an issue with that as well. So the best comedy is thought-provoking. It is edgy, and I think we need to have comedy available to know where the line is. But there's I think a problem with today is that there are, and it has been a problem, is that there are people that think that comedy is only about being past the line. Okay, and a lot of memes today are just pure out and out. It's like, this is not a joke. This is just like, you're just like, it's the attack helicopter with let's talk trans. The attack I identify as an attack helicopter. It's like, that joke is repeated and repeated. It's like, it's just, and it used to be in comedy that if you stole a joke or a premise of a joke, you were considered a hack. Like Joe Rogan walked on stage with Carlos Mencia because he was stealing premises of other people's jokes, and basically had him laughed out of the industry because he was stealing premises of jokes. But now that's gone, and everyone's doing the same thing, and they're trying to just be nasty about a lot of stuff.
It's cheap humor.
Yeah,
you see it all over the social media. The
memes.
Regurgitation of the same video just done by a different person.
Yeah.
Like, it's plagiarism over and over and over again. And someone sees a video and goes, I'm going to do that too. And they do it.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you go on TikTok?
That's
and you
what
see
TikTok is.
Same skit.
It's the same,
it's the same
joke,
skit,
but by different people.
Oh, but it's a perfect example of where it's used all the time.
Yeah.
You're just like, fucking be original, or don't do it.
That's what made
just.
It's not edgy anymore. Now it's just dickhead. You're just a dickhead.
Yeah.
It was edgy and wow, and that's thought provoking, and they were like, comedians were kind of thought leaders, like even your Jon Stewarts and your Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert used to be great because he played a Republican. Like that, he used to be a gimmick of his, as he would play a Republican, but he would get invited by like George Bush to the White House press conference dinners. I mean, what was it called? The press corps. And he would get invited to those things, the correspondence dinner, and it was hilarious. It was satire. It was funny. It was aware of itself. Okay, and good comedy doesn't punch down. You know what I mean? Good comedy questions the societal expectations and norms and power. But and Dave Chappelle again is a great example of that, and Bill Hicks and George Carlin and all the greats, you know. But yeah, great question. Great. What was the question?
2 pet peeves.
And the pet peeves was so extremists on either side, and people and people that don't understand what edgy humor is.
Yeah. Cool.
You're not original. You're not funny anymore.
Oh, it's annoying as fuck.
Bro.
It is. Anyway, that's question 10.
Okay, I'm the host. Sorry. Everybody, we haven't decided who it's going to be this week. It might be the same as every week. Here is a word from our sponsors.
Do you have a leak? Maybe need a new install, or got a nasty blockage? Then you need Prestige Plumbing and Gas. Whether it's in or outside your home or business, Prestige Plumbing and Gas have you sorted. With the wealth of knowledge and professionalism that you deserve, Prestige Plumbing and Gas will have the job done right the first time. Guaranteed. You don't want to let yourself get caught out by dodgy workmanship. You want honest, reliable, and quality tradesmen to put your mind at ease. So make Prestige Plumbing and Gas your first choice. Operating in the Hunter region, Prestige Plumbing and Gas are the right choice for your home or business. Call Sean on 0401 726 336 and make the right choice. Prestige Plumbing and Gas.
Welcome back, motherfuckers and fatherfuckers. We are back, and we are back with the second half of our character study social experiment on each other. Now, again, I am host, so that dictates I go first. Numero uno.
Hang on. Sorry, I'm just replying to an important message about whether the dogs have been fed, and they have.
Feed the dogs or stay in the dog box. Be in the kennel. Vinno,
All right.
is the death penalty right or wrong? Or should we have it in our system?
I think there's too many cases where it has been wrong. The ruling has been wrong, and there is too many cases where people have been wrongly convicted, wrongly put to death, that you just can't warrant having it. There is plenty of cases where, yeah, I do think that it is warranted. However, there's, with the amount of false convictions that are out there and the amount of times it's been used as a first resort, that no, I think it needs to be non-death penalty. I don't agree with some criminals living out their lives in prisons off taxpayers' money for the crimes they have committed, and those crimes being of the worst nature. But yeah, I don't think, out of all the years that it was, and when I say years, centuries, that it was a sentence, that it was used justly throughout that time, especially in modern times. There's some really good documentaries actually about people getting off death row, for being innocent,
Exonerated through DNA. Yep.
Yeah, those sorts of things. So, it makes you question and wonder about how many people were innocent, death, lost their life, not doing the wrong thing. So, I know it can be a touchy subject with some people, because they are victims of some pretty heinous crimes, victims of heinous crimes. But we've got to look at the broader picture, and it's the broader picture for death penalty.
I completely agree. Like, and to that, like, people that go through horrible stuff, there's a reason why we don't let the victims choose the sentence, right? Because if you're drink driving and you kill my kid by accident, I want the death penalty. I want me to do the death penalty. I want, you know what I mean? Like, I'm irrational right now, completely. Maybe not, like, but I want my pound of flesh. I want my eye for an eye. Yeah. I want more than that. You know, I want torture. You know what I mean? But I'm not in like, we cannot base our justice system off that. Number one. No. Number two, your initial thought, absolutely right. In modern times, through DNA exoneration, we're like, oh my God, these motherfuckers were on death row. We're going to kill these people. If not for the actions of these organizations that are trying to help exonerate people, they would have been fucking killed by the state. And then even in our history, Joan of Arc, geez, like, if you're a Christian, you have to be against the death penalty, because like, through thousands of years, we've put people to death for crimes that should not have been put them to death. Like, I think and people that are wrongfully accused, and like, I think having the state been able to kill their citizens like that is wrong. Now, again, in a perfect world where we 100% like, oh my God, that man is a pedophile. We know he did it. He has abused this many kids. I think there's not a person worth their salt that's like, end it. End that Minecraft in a video game, that human. You know what I mean? Like, but and the same people will tell you that the justice system is unfair to fathers. Because they're not, you know, it's that same justice system that you want to decide whether people live or die, and then to women, rape victims who see their rapists get off, it's that same justice system, you know. So I think ultimately, if everyone looked deep we don't have a system that is 100% able to decide whether someone's guilty or not. And there are fringe cases, but I don't think we can base our whole system like that. I think for those, lock them up. You know, I think they're better off alive for us to have them as an example and to study them in a way, if you know what I mean. I don't mean like
there's the study aspect of it, right? So being able to delve into the mind of some of these people, find out why they are the way they are, why they did what they did.
Serial killers. We have caught serial killers by studying other serial killers.
Example. Yeah, you know, the profiling has come from the study of serial killers. And to me, serial killers is a very interesting...
We need to do a whole episode on that
subject. Shit. Yeah, because... there's common denominators with them all. That's very interesting, and they do some pretty heinous things as a result. But learning how they got there, and what, like, the most interesting time frame for serial killers, in my opinion, was during the Vietnam War and post-Vietnam War. Due to trauma, due to growing up in a very hostile family environment, due to their fathers and stuff being war veterans, not being able to cope with their PTSD or not talking about it and those sorts of things. So from the get-go, you had, around that period, a lot of serial killers, and it was due to long-term trauma, exposure to certain things, and the breakdown of their mental capacity due to their upbringing or things that they've seen. So we wouldn't know a lot about those, and the patterns, like you said, like the patterns and what makes a serial killer. Those sorts of things wouldn't have been studied and discovered had it not been for those serial killers being alive for a period of time. A lot of them, yes, were put to death, but in that small period of time they had before they were put to death, there was a lot of study done. And
Ed Kemper, he's a good example. Like, if they had killed Ed Kemper, they wouldn't have caught, I think there's like 3 or 4 serial killers they caught just by speaking with Ed Kemper and studying his mind, and him being open to be like, hey guys, why did you do it? Let's look deep in, because they might not even know why they did it, you know. So you have speaking with them, figuring them out, understanding what these, because there's like John Wayne Gacy was someone who was a church member. He was a Republican, you know what I mean. He was considered an upstanding member of society, you know?
Absolutely.
You know, and Dennis Rader, who was the BTK killer, again a church member, like as someone who was, you know, in his society and had a family that thought he was a great father, you know what I mean? Golden State Killer was a cop. He was a cop.
He was a copper.
And
the scariest thing about that was he was one of the people involved in the investigations of his own crimes, you know, like, and wasn't caught until recent times.
Yep.
You know, so
they're very
interesting
couple of years. What's he caught like in the last 5 years or something?
2018, 2020, I think. Yeah.
And he's wanted for shit back in the 80s and 90s.
There was a 5-part series on Case File, which is a podcast I listened to. It was a 5-part series, and then as I was listening to that, because I came into Case File late, only I think a month or 2 after I listened to that series, that they released the series of him being caught, and I was like, holy fuck, like this is insane. So to answer your question, yeah, I just don't think that the death penalty, where sometimes, it might be warranted, is not... We've grown past that.
Yeah.
We've grown past just killing people because of...
But you can understand, if you're a victim, and we understand, if you're a victim of a crime, Of course you want. Like,
Look,
Ed
get
Kemper,
that.
we just talked about Ed Kemper. This motherfucker had sex with his mother's head. Like,
Yep.
this dude is and that's his family. He was called the co-ed killer because he went after young girls, young college age girls. Like, he's a scumbag, like the worst human you can think of. One of them, right?
I would take comfort, and it's hard to say this genuinely because I've never been in that position.
Yeah.
If I was a victim or a family member of it, and in that case where multiple other serial killers had been stopped due to one person being captured, and other people don't have to feel the pain that I've felt because of what has happened, I'd find comfort, I suppose. Him being alive might hurt me, but it has stopped other people from being in this.
Yeah.
So it's
a very
got its
powerful
pros and
thing,
cons.
right? There's a very that takes a big person to be able to not forgive, but to understand the greater good of it all. And there are victims of crime that forgive, like
yeah.
Like, you know,
Look,
Dylan
all
Roof.
strength
Dylan
to
Roof, he shot up a black church, and all those little black old ladies that were there that went and spoke and forgave him
That's
because
huge.
they didn't want hate in their own heart. They didn't want the hate for this fuck to rule their, like, victims of crimes. My heart goes out to you. Like, I've never been through something like that. And I'm telling you now, I can nearly tell you now, I would be a hothead. I will walk back everything I've just said here. Like, if anything happened to my kids.
Oh, dude.
Dude.
And that's the hard thing, right?
I'm telling you, I will disagree with everything I just said. I will.
Yeah.
But we cannot base our society off revenge. We have to look at,
we can't.
what's the best way
Look at
forward
lynchings, right? There's a reason
here?
why
Oh man,
lynchings
poor Emmett Till. Like, yeah.
There's a reason why they're illegal and outlawed, because revenge killings just, you know, we're past that. We've grown past that by percent.
But we get it. Folks out there that are pro death penalty, we get you.
Anger,
I get you.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my little number 6, which would be the 11. What's our number 12, Vinno?
Righto. As a whole,
I like both holes.
As a whole, right?
Yeah, all 3 holes.
So you have to give me an answer to this.
Oh shit!
Do you like or dislike? They're your 2 options. You have to by the
have
end
to
of
like
this.
or dislike whatever. Yeah.
Right. What's coming next? Do you like or dislike Joe Rogan for his podcasting? Not because of his achievements as a commentator and all those sorts of things. As a podcaster, do you like or dislike Joe Rogan?
I like Joe Rogan because of his achievements and because of his podcast. So,
Okay.
I like Joe Rogan as an MMA analyst, as a commentator. Get that out of the way. As a mixed martial artist himself, I love him. I love Joe Rogan.
Yep.
As a podcaster, I also love him because I understand what Joe Rogan is. Okay. Joe Rogan is not an expert in anything he really talks about in his podcast, except for MMA analysts, and comedy. Even though I think if everyone's honest, Joe Rogan's like a mid-tier comedian. Okay. The funniest thing about Joe Rogan is his podcast and all, when he has people on and conversation. I value Joe Rogan and I've loved Joe Rogan for it must be 15 years now. And I think if you haven't had that relationship with Joe and understand where he came from, that you would be mad at Joe, and you'd be like, oh, he's spreading this and disinformation and this and that. But Joe Rogan's just doing what he's always had. A part of what I love about Joe Rogan is that he talks about the crazy, batshit, weird, alternative fucking viewpoints, like Graham Hancock, Robert Schoch, and Carlson episodes he has. Not Tucker Carlson, Greg Carlson. Is it Greg Carlson? but they're the Egyptology and oh my God, is this ancient civilization really from 20,000 years before we think? And he has someone on who's given an and you're talking about the Terence McKenna stoned ape theory of, oh my God, was it because of magic mushrooms that caused apes to come down from the trees and eat the mushrooms and think beyond what an animal thinks? It's batshit. But there's the intrigue there, the curiosity and the willingness
thought-provoking.
Yeah. Now, there are things that, like Joe Rogan, in his defensiveness of being a normal dude like all of us and a human being, has kind of dug his heels in some places. But I love Joe Rogan, and I think it's definitely a great... Joe Rogan promotes healthy living, even though he's on testosterone replacement therapy himself now. Like, Joe Rogan is bald for a reason, you know what I mean? Like, he made himself bald through fucking taking a needle in the hole. But he's a fantastic mixed martial artist. He's a very curious person who's willing to open himself up to stuff, and people taking him too seriously, I think, is the problem. Like, he's that bloke like us. He's what we're doing right now, because we're not fucking experts either, and we're wrong, and we're going to change our minds about it.
Absolutely not.
Dude.
Hence why we need experts on here, because
where are they?
we speculate, we talk bulk shit. Right,
But
and
what
we might have an
Joe
opinion,
Rogan-
but it might be
yeah.
a completely unsubstantiated.
So I love Joe Rogan. I love what he does, and I think that he is not being appreciated for what he is, which he'll admit to you right now. I'm a fucking dumbass, jackass comedian. You know what I mean? And when he's talking about stuff, he'll talk about it with an opinion and with passion and all.
Yep.
And I disagree. I don't agree with everything Joe Rogan says. Like, I watch Ben Shapiro weekly, and I will disagree with 80 to 90% of what Ben Shapiro says. But I like insight. Joe Rogan, I will disagree with Joe Rogan on about 20% of stuff. So I'll be in 70 to 80% agree with Joe Rogan about stuff. His heart's in I truly believe his heart's in the right place. He's a curiosity-driven man. He's also someone who, like an Andrew Tate, pushes a healthy lifestyle. I don't want to get into that yet, because I think that could be good down the line, because I'm someone who thinks Andrew Tate is a bad example for men. But I think if you don't recognize the good in where men find them, like through healthy living and exercise and fighting and stuff like that, and being proud of being masculine, okay, just like being proud, you should be proud of being feminine or anywhere between. I think Joe Rogan offers an outlet to a lot of people, and I don't think you can if you're someone who wants to talk about medical statistics, don't go to Joe Rogan. If you're someone who wants to talk about historical facts and what is empirical, don't go to Joe Rogan. But if you want to have a little fucking bit of fun and listen to the crazy people from the fringes come together and just smoke a joint, not that I would or anyone would, but if you want to do that and just open your mind to a different point of view, and then whatever, do it. Joe Rogan is someone who has Stephen Crowder on, but he also has Bernie Sanders on. He has Cenk Uygur on from the Young Turks, who I love, and he also has Ben Shapiro on. He has different people from different sides, but you can see that he has had a lot more right-wing people on as of the last 5 years, because left-wing people have taken him too seriously and have refused to engage with him, and I've tried to ostracize and cancel him, to the point where, just like a normal human being, he would get defensive and say, well, fuck you guys, you know. So even though my politics I think Joe Rogan is a lib, he's a liberal, he's a self-proclaimed liberal, and I don't mean as the way Australian politics are liberal, I mean in American politics liberal. He's someone who believes in gay marriage, he's a freedom, he's a free drugs guy, he's a public parks guy, he believes in regulation, heavy regulation in business with construction and stuff, because he had Dave Rubin on, who was like, oh, we should get rid of building regulations. He was like, are you fucking crazy? People will start making fucking walls out of chalk. You don't know what builders are like, mate, if you don't put regulations. You know what I mean? Like, he is someone who could be a big ally, but he shouldn't be someone we should expect be an ally on politics. He is a curiosity-driven MMA practitioner. He's
An
interested.
entertainer.
Yeah, he's an entertainer, but he's also someone who is like, don't take him seriously. Have a laugh with him. He will have anyone on and chat. I love Joe Rogan. I do. And I've loved him for fucking the best part of nearly 2 decades. I was a lot of the people now that I have in our friend group, a couple of them will tell you, I got them onto Joe Rogan. You know what I mean? And they will. And I hope to have Bondi on, because I told Bondi to get onto Joe Rogan. But I love Joe Rogan, and I like him,
Cool.
and I think his podcast is a good thing for us. And we probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Joe Rogan, because I got into podcasts because of Joe Rogan through MMA.
Well, our style is trying
Pretty much.
not to be exactly like it, but based off that idea.
Pull that up, Jamie. Yeah, we don't have a Jamie yet or anything, or a flash studio. But
Pull that up, Colin.
he used to, the early Joe Rogan shows, he had people on the other screen. You know, like before he had it all set up and all. And he had Red Band on. Red Band is his producer and all. But one day we'll do that. We'll find some medium between the Hunter Valley and Canberra. But yeah, to answer your question, big fan of Joe Rogan. Do I agree with him about everything? No. But we don't agree about everything. And the people I love dear, like I'm an atheist. But some of the people I love and care about, and some of the people that I look up to in athletes and as people, are very religious people. You know, so we don't have to get along and agree with each other about everything, but I appreciate and love Joe Rogan and his outlook. Absolutely.
Cool. There you go.
Oh, here we go.
All right, Davey.
Number 7.
Here we go.
As a person, okay, wait. You as a person who has Indigenous roots, what future would you like to see for Australia?
You're referencing the voice, aren't
No, well, no, you don't have to talk about the voice.
you? Yeah. No,
Whether there should be
whether
there should be a voice in Canberra or not. I think we should do an episode about that, and we should weigh the pros and cons about Canberra and having a federal voice where Indigenous people can speak from. But I'm talking about past that, the future,
right.
for Indigenous people, from before colonisers came here to when colonisers came to where we're at now to what we can be in the future. What would you like to see in Australians' future as someone who, keeping in mind
I would like
folk?
to see the Indigenous culture recognised, respected, and held up as the symbol that it should be. That it's the oldest, still exists culture. We can benefit so much from that, and we're starting to see it a lot more. And I'll use the example of the recent fires and the findings from that with traditional burning and those sorts of things. And we've come a long way. We've got a hell of a long way to go as far as recognising and respecting culture and understanding as a whole significance. Like all things when it comes to skin colour, you're always going to have, and I'll use this term, pieces of shit that are just going to completely disregard them because of their skin colour. We're very, very lucky, I think, to still have such a strong culture still in existence, considering a lot of the things that happened around colonisation and some of the massacres, flat out destruction of the culture. For it to still be strong today, I think it's extremely important, and it's a good depiction of people and why Indigenous culture has survived for 40,000 years plus. I think Australia as a whole will benefit from embracing culture, recognizing and respecting it to the point where it's not just you to wave a flag and look good for a corporation not week, where it's not just a talking point come election time, where Indigenous people's input is valued, because the benefits, as I've mentioned before, and I used one example then, the benefits, they're substantial there. They can teach us as a society a whole range of things, a whole way of operating and being peaceful within society. We don't always have to like what everybody else thinks or says, and it's human nature not to, but we can be peaceful within to move forward and benefit as a society as a whole. So what annoys me the most about when Indigenous culture gets brought up with corporations, with politicians, is it's used at a specific time when it's going to benefit that party. I've had many discussions with people over about flying the flag and waving it certain times of the year, and only certain times of the year. In my opinion, you're all in or you're not. It's not just something that you pick up when you think it's gonna make you look good. It's something that it's a whole culture and it's a whole people, and it's not just something you disregard 90% of the time and 10%. Oh yeah, no, well you. Yeah, I can be pretty passionate about it because of my experience with Indigenous family and learning things as you go, and being involved with people and hearing their experiences and the history that's involved with it, and hearing about the atrocities is sickening. And it's not uncommon to other things that have happened around the world, but to the degree that it happened, the extent and how freely it was able to happen, for that to be in this country, and then people to just completely disregard it to the point where they won't even acknowledge Indigenous people's opinion, like that's enough to fucking piss you off. But to answer your question, I would like to see Indigenous people respected, their voice heard, and the culture. Yeah, the culture recognised and accepted for the significant.
Now look, see, I always feel like me and Irish people and lots of other people in general would have a unique look when we come to this country, and I hate that it's lost in the generations, because I know there's a lot of Irish people, and I hope my kids and their kids don't lose sight of this. Irish people, our language was made illegal, our history was gotten rid of, our culture was gotten rid of, our customs was gotten rid of, and we weren't allowed to hold land. You name it, 700 plus years of
that's where the old term the blacks of Europe came from.
That's right. And there's many of us around the world in different continents that know what it's like to have that boot on your neck for nearly 1,000 years. Jews know it. We know it. And when I come here and it's Indigenous people, it's not even been that long. And they think, oh, you need to let it go. And it's like, excuse me, you have a very small view. Okay, people don't forget. Okay, they'll remember, and it gets passed down, and you'll never. People will never forget that forget that, especially a people like Indigenous people that are stewards, have been stewards of this land for a lot longer than most civilizations around the world. And the fire is a great example, the fires, because why wouldn't we listen to the people that have been stewarding and taking care of this land for fucking thousands of years before we put our houses down and our cities down and our roads down, and then wonder why they're all getting set on fire and we don't know how to take care of it, and we don't know how to be one with the land and to manage it and to be with it, right?
Yeah.
And
it's and this is the thing. There's so much knowledge that's lost or just completely disregarded because arrogance and pride and the bullshit. Like
there's outright discrimination, like against Indigenous.
Dude,
I was shocked when I came here, like as a little Irish boy, when I heard about Australian Aboriginals and Indigenous people. I've heard about the Dream Time, like they're a magical, amazing, like, oh my god, you hear about how long they've been around, and they're one of the first recorded art on walls, which is who we are. If we're not, we're animals, and then we have art, and then we have things that make us human, which are outside of, and they're some of the first people on earth to do that. So I was excited to move here, as you know what I mean. And when I came here, I had a huge, and I've talked about this maybe 1,000 times in the podcast, but my realization that, oh my god, people, I'm a foreigner, and I came here, and people respect me more than the Indigenous people of this country. When I came here, they're like, oh bloody mate, abbas, they can't fucking keep a job. The fact they can't handle their drink. They fight all the time, they're violent. And I'm like, oh my god, that's the same shit people say about Irish people. Can't keep a job, they're dumb, they're fucking, they're violent, you know, like all the exact same shit. And that's a colonialist mindset to keep a culture down. And I don't...
Same talking points that they used against African Americans.
Exactly, that's what they do. They said they're lesser. And it took us 700 years,
they dehumanize.
Yep. And we have a term in Ireland called Chucky Lar, which is Irish and Gaelic for our day will come. Do not underestimate a people's willingness to persevere and to wait for their time to come. And they think, oh, it's too long now. Just have to let bygones be bygones and forget about that, and forget about the chains, forget about the atrocities, forget about, you can't do that. Okay, that's part of our history now, and you've made a part of that.
Well, everyone is proud of their history. You know, we look back.
Yeah.
We celebrate certain events. We celebrate or we look back and mourn certain events. So why now do the Indigenous people have to move on and forget about that? Oh, because we were at fault, so we want you to forget about it. No, fuck off.
Yeah, we still celebrate Christmas and Easter, which are pagan, which predate Christianity. Like, we still celebrate these little things, and you want them to forget a couple of generations ago when we made these people illegal to be on their own fucking land, to practice their own tribe.
They weren't even seen as people.
Well, that's another thing.
It's flora within, and fauna.
When was that? That might even that's within a lifetime that we consider these people animals.
That's in our parents. In our parents' lifetime.
It shudders me to think, and it's an actual. It blew me mind when I came here, and I was nearly ashamed to come when I came here. I was like, wow, like, you think I'm one of you guys? No, dude. Like, no, I'm. So I don't think it'll be over until what we did in Ireland. We got a republic, and it's still not over for a lot of people in Ireland. I know there's people up north that we're still a divided country, and that's nearly 800-900 years now. Okay, and we're still. We you know what I mean? There's people that are blood red when they talk about this stuff, and rightfully so. And we remember being shot up against walls and been told and been shipped off to Barbados in chains and been used as, we remember, and we'll never forget, and you can never forget. Okay, I think we need to become a republic to get rid of the family and the process that made it happen. and that only gets rid of a bit, because that, at least then, Indigenous people can even be head of state of this nation. I think we have to recognize the history, because we're not proud of our history. When we look back at history, we're not proud of our Indigenous history in this country, and I should think of it as our history.
There was a shirt I saw a guy wearing years ago, and I remember talking to him and said, "Where do I get that?" And it just had the words on it: "White Australia has a black history." Right, so it's got multiple play on words there, but whether we're proud of it or not, it's history. And for the people that say, "Oh, I didn't do it, so why do I have to apologise?" No, you might have not been directly responsible. You're benefiting from it. But it's that recognition that, yeah, this was fucked up. We are sorry that happened, and that this did happen to Indigenous people just because the colour of your skin and your culture. The pig-headedness and just the flat-out race and bullshit, right? And the ignorance. In this day and age where we can find out so much information that's at our fingertips, to still be ignorant to the atrocities and those sorts of things, and understanding, why Indigenous people are in the position they are in a lot of ways. And the significance of country and moving Indigenous people off country, and the effect that has on them, the community. Not like we look at things too often with a white perspective. I say a white perspective because it's one of the terms that's used. When we move people off country and just expect them to amalgamate into that society, but that's not how it works. That's not the cultural background. It's not the spiritual significance of it, and there's you start to have issues within a community because of that. And instead of looking at it and going, "Fuck, we fucked up," as government or something like that, they look at them and go, "Well, why aren't you pulling your heads in? Why are you having this issue?" They point the finger at the root cause, and it's still happening now. And we're still seeing it in areas where there is a lot of upheaval and a lot of issues within communities, and going, "Oh, it's just the Indigenous people. Oh, they're just, can't control it." Well, fucking have a look at what's caused that and why we're in this position. And instead of just pointing the finger and going, "Oh, yeah, it's them," there's not enough inwards looking. And this is where I think having somewhere where these decisions are made about Indigenous people by Indigenous people, instead of just an outside white perspective, crucial. It needs to happen, because for far too long these decisions have just been made regarding Indigenous people for them and not to their benefit whatsoever. And it's like I said, it's still happening now. We're seeing the result. Parts of the mention we're on here.
It's everywhere. Like, you're talking about upheaval, mate. This is a huge landmass. Like,
it is.
Thousands of years. Jewish people right now with the whole Israel-Palestine thing. That's 2,000 years of people being displaced through Europe and Russia and North Africa, and people are like, "Oh yeah, but they're all these different continents." If you were to have a look at that landmass between Israel, where the Jews came from, and Germany and Poland and Russia and all, that's a tiny landmass. Australia is huge. There's so many displaced people that are removed from that. Like, we're small-minded in the sense of, and we kind of think of an Aboriginal people as a one person, as a one people. But there's so many different.
The easiest way to look at it, and this is why I've explained it to people before. If you look at Australia's Indigenous cultures as Europe,
Yeah.
where there's all different nationalities, cultures, countries in a small proximity to one another. So we look at Germany and say France,
Or
right? Two
Spain.
different cultures.
It's Hispanic, like they're Mexicans.
France,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right beside
So
Germany.
you've got
Yeah.
Germany. You mean, or were you talking France?
No. But like you're saying, Europe.
Oh yeah,
has
like
Spain and Portugal, but also France and England and Italy and Turkey and like all these countries that are we
slammed
consider
together.
like if you go to America, someone who's Spanish is a different race.
Yeah.
But they're only a fucking stone throw away from themselves in Europe. It's like,
And the easiest way to look at it is that,
Indigenous
right?
Australia is a huge fucking
Yeah, so
huge
a
map.
Wobbecal is different to Wanneroo. Wanneroo is different to Kamilaroi. You know, it's. But like you said, the government and in the past, people have looked at them and just gone, oh, they're just Indigenous, they're just all the same, without having that understanding of the significance. And this is where the significance of country comes into it. You know, why did England fight so hard to defend England during World War II when they were during the Battle of Britain, right? It's because that's their country. They don't want it to be taken over. They don't want to lose it. That's their home. Same thing here. Anyway.
You're absolutely right. And how long have Ireland fought for that?
That's sorry.
800 years. How long should they fight? Forever. And same for England.
That's right.
Let's just talk about England. England should fight for the right to be English. And we should fight for the right to party. But to expect people to just forget and to not be
bullshit.
accepting of a way forward that encompasses us all. So just to finish off that question though, what future would you like to see for Australia? We've recognised the history because again, there's so much depth in the history there between different peoples that we don't like. Me as someone who comes in here, I would hope that that my children get to learn that, but I know they're not gonna. They're not gonna know the differences between the Ngunnawal people and their neighbours. You know, they're not gonna know. But they should.
In the future, I would like to see. Yeah, I would like to see the culture celebrated. I'd like to see the history taught in schools. I'd like to see it spoken about openly
and with pride. With pride. Yeah.
Fucking oath.
Let's fucking be
Absolutely.
proud of that shit. We should be bragging. Man. We should be bragging about our fucking ancient ass history here. We have fucking ancient ass motherfucking history
here. It should be celebrated.
Yeah.
It should be
fucking
yeah.
But
we should be we should be as proud when you see New Zealand rugby team stand up and do the haka before a game and the pride that they have. We should be as proud of that. You know.
I wish the Irish team would do a little Irish jig. It's not as scary though. But I know exactly what you mean. We should be embracing it, and I hope our future is. I think we need to ditch the Commonwealth because we don't fucking need them. Grow up, okay? Let's start embrace. We've so much shit in here that needs to be tapped and respected and embraced. Oh, I can't wait for that day. And recognize white motherfuckers here. I'm a foreigner. But my fucking 2 kids, they're Aussies now. They'll be accepted and embraced and people won't even look at them as foreigners. But an Indigenous person will always kind of be, the way we are now, will always be seen as kind of an other. And that shocked me. And I don't... And I know I've got a weird viewpoint of it, but I'll never forget that shock. And like Vinno said, let's embrace it, not just for a pandering, happy way, but because there's meaning behind it. Like there's actual utility behind it. There's like it can save lives in fires. It can protect our land and it can guide where we build our homes. You know, and it can. I just think like thousands, tens of thousands of years worth of fucking meaning we could take from it, but we're just letting it go.
Okay.
But yeah, that was my number 7 question.
All right.
What is your number 7 question?
Another big one.
Vincenzo. Oh, is it? Oh no.
Yeah. This is one I think I know your standpoint on it.
That's all right. You know I like to wax lyrical. Bring it to me.
Yeah.
Are you
There's
there?
all the thumping going on upstairs. Sorry, I
I thought
just
you were
about
like,
talking,
how
like,
am I
is-
gonna ask?
No, I was like, is that fucking thunder? Is that? What is your stance on guns in society?
In Australia or anywhere?
Just guns,
I don't think
having access.
I
to
don't
in
think
society.
civilians should be allowed to have guns unless it's for certain things. I think we need guns for police, for the army to protect us, but I don't think civilians should be allowed to have guns outside of sport and tools for like farming, that type of thing. I don't think you should be allowed to shoot somebody here. I don't think that should be part of our culture. I think guns, just by having a gun, and we know because there's experiments all over the world with different gun laws, just having a gun in your home increases your risk of suicide, increases your risk of being killed by one. The number one cause of, let's take America for example, the number one cause of death for children in America is not cancer. It's not car crashes, it's guns. And you think about shooting metal through people, that's the leading cause of killing children. I think with every freedom we have comes an offset that we have to accept, and I don't think that type of massacre is worth it. Do we need guns in society? Yes. I'm not a pacifist, I am not pro-war or anti-war, but we need guns, we need a military. Do we need police with guns? Yes. Would I like police to have less guns and be less militarized? Yes. If you look at a country like Ireland, the normal cop that walks around the city doesn't have a gun. I didn't see a police officer with a gun until I moved to this country. And actually on the way to Singapore and when I went to America. In Ireland, police don't have guns on their hips. And there's no gun deaths, really. You could probably count on your hands how many gun deaths there are in those countries because of that. But you're looking in the tens of thousands in other countries. And in this country, even where there is a gun culture, because you have to have guns in Australia. If you're a farmer with vermin, you just have to have guns. Hunting, I'm okay with that. Okay, but there are certain weapons you shouldn't be allowed to have. I think to even have a gun, to even be allowed to have a gun, I think you have to pass. I think you should have a license. I think you should have to, not just a proficiency and practically being able to understand the safety and the use of a gun, but also have a reason to have it. I think if someone breaks into your house, like kids out your back garden to steal beer, I don't think you should be able to shoot them. I don't think we should have guns as part of as soon as you start letting people shoot each other for having an issue, then that opens the gates. That allows things to happen. Now, the grey areas. America. If I lived in America, sadly, I would want a gun because of the situation and the atmosphere they've created for themselves. Because in America, I know, okay, my risk of getting shot or being shot is going up. But it's antithetical, because even then, me having a gun elevates the risk of me dying from having a gun. It is an oxymoron, and there's no one with enough balls like our conservatives over here. Our right-wingers over here gave up the guns. That's how common, and John Howard does not get enough credit for being a right-winger in this country. That's like, you know what?
Enough of the guns.
Enough of this shit. Jacinda Ardern, all the crap she gets, she had balls, big swinging testicles, and has saved lives because an Australian dude. He couldn't have done that in Australia. Our mass shooters now have to go overseas to do that horrible crap. And sadly, that's what happened with the Christchurch shooting. This maniac who was in his manifesto and in our research has found that he was corrupted by American and foreign ideology, decided to go attack a mosque. And I seen that footage. If you were around at that time, you could have seen it. It was horrific, and I'm glad it's not part of our society. And I'm sad that even our killers, I'm grateful that they can't do it here. Like the Sydney siege was a dude with a shotgun.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that's our crazy shit. And after Port Arthur, we had enough to the fact that our guys have to go to different countries to do it. Should guns be in society? Yes, but heavily regulated, and they should not be tools for defending ourselves, in my opinion. Absolutely. But I'm a liberal. I'm a dirty, centrist, progressive liberal.
I strongly agree. I don't think there's really a genuine conservative argument, right? If you're looking at it from a political stance, right? Yes, in America, the conservatives have a very strong with their guns. I still don't think it's a liberal or Republican or left and right argument. Yes, one side might jump on a little bit more. I think that it just needs to be recognised that this is bullshit. Like we're very fortunate, and the pressure is mounting, and there will be change eventually, because there is more and more voices coming forward, more and more people saying we are pissed off, we are sick and tired of this. And it's not just victims, it is law enforcement officers. It's an array of people. So the pressure is mounting. It is a big problem, and it's not going to change overnight over there, but it is starting to really build the momentum, and it should have been doing a long time ago, but really starting to build momentum now for that change. And I just hope that they do make the right decisions. From it. And look, people aren't going to like it, but they didn't like it when we did it here either.
The right thing to do is hard sometimes, right?
And it's not going to be easy.
No.
Right? It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to be easy.
It's harm reduction.
But, yeah, you've got to move forward at some point to make the change.
Someone's got to have the
change
balls. Someone's got to have the, and I don't mean that in a man or a woman thing. Someone's got to have that cojones. Like, and I love what you said there. The spine. Spine's a good one. But I like balls though. But balls, they stink and they swing. You know what I mean? But here's the truth. Left and right. You're absolutely right. It's not a left or right wing thing. Marx was the workers and the proletariat must be well armed. Far lefties are pro-gun. Like, if you go communists and socialists, they want their guns. They want revolution and bloody revolution. It's not a left or right thing. It's a freedom regulation issue. It's a moral courage issue. Like, you look right now with and we'll go, I hate to bring it back to trans issue, but there are trans people now in America that are loading up, that they're saying, hey everybody, we need to load up. Vulnerable people now in the likes of America are feeling like they have to arm up, when really, like, and I was going to touch base on this a bit earlier, but trans people have one of the highest suicide rates on the planet, okay? And it's because of a lot of it's American, and they have access to guns, and obviously the pressure and the social issues towards them. And in another, you know what's the second highest? White dudes or men kill themselves on a huge rate. Trans women and men are the two most unhappy motherfuckers on planet fucking Earth right now, and you would think they would find that commonality to come together and say, hey, we're not happy. Let's fucking band together and find a way to be happy. And having those tools in their at their disposal is very dangerous. Now look, we're going to have 3 left now each. I think, and I don't know if you agree with me here, before we finish off, before we do the last 3, do you think we should drain the weasels, shake hands with Mr. President, and have a piss break?
Gonna need to, because the other thing is, right, I didn't have much left in this, and I will have to. We'll have another one upstairs.
Fill her up. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a word from not just our sponsor, but from your sponsor. Welcome back, Dave Vinno show hoes. All right, here we are. We did 7 questions each. We're going for 10 each, which means with 6 questions left. I'm going for my 8th question, which is the 17th. No.
We only got through 4 questions after that last break before we needed another one.
I think we sink in the beers a bit quicker then, because there are big questions.
Oh.
Look, everybody, deep questions, deep shit.
Here we go.
But the beers are flowing, so don't take our shit too seriously. Vinno, my 8th question to you.
Let's have it.
And it kind of goes in the same line of what we're talking about right now. And my question to you is, how much freedom should people be allowed to have? Because that's a big thing nowadays, and it's very vague. I apologize for the vagueness, but
no, I think there's a good saying for this. It's, give people an inch and they'll run a mile, or they'll take the mile, right?
The mad mile.
I think freedom is extremely important. However, we have to accommodate for the lowest common denominator, and there is people within society, we know, hence why we have laws, hence why we have restrictions and regulations and those sorts of things, that will they will fuck up society to where it is cesspool if there is too much freedom there. Perfect example for this, right, is speed restrictions. Right, speed limits, because we put speed limits in place, we enforce those speed limits. Don't middle of town, high built up areas where we would say it's a 50 zone, people would, right? Perfect example. So in that scenario, you would have most people would slow down to avoid a collision. Then you would have fuckwits. These are the people that we have to accommodate for, unfortunately. The fuckwits would ruin it for everyone. And I know people hate having freedom. I hate it. When you think you've got something that's a bit of a freedom, not necessarily taking it away, but you're within boundaries. We give boundaries to our kids to keep them safe, and no different one, because we have fuckwits. We all get and do stupid shit sometimes. Humans aren't perfect. You can too much to drink, car and drive, and kill somebody, right? And there needs to be a restriction on that. Restriction is that no, you can't go and get a skin in your. Some people would view that as taking away freedom. I do the wrong.
Exactly right. Restrictions give us freedom, right? I mean, it's that's like, right. I mean, here's the thing. People are like, what's my freedom of speech? Well, what is freedom of speech? How do you uphold that? You need a government and a law to fucking enforce freedom of speech. Not that we have it here or anything in that Second Amendment style, but sometimes freedom is a restriction. Like, I should be allowed to do something. The only way I'm allowed to do certain things is if someone else isn't encroaching on it. Like, owning land is freedom, right? Oh, this is my home, this is my land. But what if someone else had the freedom to just take whatever fucking land they want?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden my freedom's encroached on. So like, what about my freedom to pay for a service and to get something quality? You know, I deserve to be able to pay for something and to know that I'm gonna get what I'm gonna get. But that's all arbitrary, right? It's all contingent on having some sort of regulation. But there's a give off. Guns. We were just talking about guns, Vinno. Your freedom to have guns all of a sudden takes away so much freedom from somebody else.
Absolutely, it does. And to a point, it's subjective, right? Because what I might see as a freedom, other people see as that's not a freedom. Like you just mentioned that example. Me being free to walk around with a firearm, society, I might see as that freedom. Somebody else might see that as a threat. Taken away their freedom to walk safely or feel safe,
or to go to school without
So-
a bulletproof fucking backpack on.
Yeah, I don't. The word freedom is used. I know a lot in America. We're seeing a lot of it come over here because a lot of an American media.
We're a bit downstream from
people
it.
go,
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's used too broadly, I think. And in a lot of ways, just seen as, freedom is I can do whatever I want whenever I want. And that's never ever been the case in any society on this planet. Not our nature. There's always some sort of restriction or regulation, whether we see it as that, right? But so yeah, I think people need to have the basic human right. But then we start to get too spoiled with it too. So you can have too much. I won't say too much freedom. You'll have too many.
It's rhetorically hard to say, right? Like, should I
It
be
is
free to not
because-
wear a seatbelt and to not buckle up my child in the back of my car? Sorry, that's my kid. I'm free. I should be able to have my little baby just sit in the back seat. No, mate.
Yeah, but the problem is with that, right? Is once again people and their failure to accept responsibility as well, where some of these regulations, restrictions come from is if I make that decision and I put myself through that and I become a paraplegic. Instead of sitting there and going, oh, I made a shit decision and now I'm a paraplegic because of the decision I made. Far too often you get people go, I made a shit decision, but it's your fault because you do this or didn't do whatever, So, yeah, it's a hard one. But no, look,
It is a rough. It's a rough question. It's very, how much freedom should people be allowed to have? Well, that's it. It's so nuanced and like you said, like what is freedom? Like because one man's freedom is another man's shackle in a way. Like I should be free to. Driving is a great example. I should be able to drive whatever speed and however crazy I want, but that impedes on other people's freedom, right? Yeah. I've been able to, I should be free to have a safe drive to where I'm going to go. People are going to hate us. Yeah, fuck you, man. No, but obviously stay subscribed. Stay subscribed.
It's their right to hate us, but it's our right as well to say, fuck you.
As long as it doesn't impede on other people and all. Look, I'm happy. I think you should be free to do whatever you want.
If you feel that we are impeding on your freedom, you are free to come on this
Free to come on this motherfucking
and
podcast, yeah. And speak freely. But
All
anyway,
right, here we go.
What's your number 8 for the big D?
All right, we'll lighten them up. In the evening, David.
Oh
when you
shit.
come home from a long, hard day of work, would you rather play a game, visit a relative, watch a movie, or read?
I'd say watch a movie, because when I come home from work, you're looking at it like I will have picked up my daughter from school. That's just how it works out at the moment. And we get home and we're a family unit, and you're looking at like between 4 and 5 p.m. What would I rather do?
So let me clarify.
Yeah,
Let me
clarify it. Like, what do I
In
like
the
to
evening,
do? Yeah,
kids are in bed. Everyone's had dinner, showers.
okay. Yeah.
Kids are in bed. Just you and them.
And what are my options again?
Right.
It's just me and them.
So you could play a game.
Like, are you talking about like COD?
Could be COD. It could be a board game. It could be fucking poker.
World Series of Poker. Yeah, go on. So there's play a game
Visit a relative.
after the kids are
Watch a
asleep.
movie. Might be. Colin might be down the road.
Yeah.
Watch a movie or read.
Watch a movie with
a
me
movie.
missus. I love
Okay.
that. Watch a movie, TV with me missus when we're chilling out. Like, oh man, we just started Better Call Saul now
Oh,
after Breaking Bad. And like, I like to, when we put the kids to bed, it's our time. Now, one night of the week, I might be doing something like this with you.
Mhm.
I might be doing fucking graphics for something like this, or I might be hanging with my wife. And but while I'm doing graphics or doing stuff with you, she'll be catching up on RuPaul's Drag Race or watching her crazy fucking horror movies, or you know what I mean. And then we get to do our own stuff. But what I really love, dude, is me and my missus is chilling out, watching movie or TV together, and just having our little time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
After the kids are asleep, that's it. Now, having said that, because I've kind of stopped gaming now. It's been years now. You would probably been the last person I fucking had a
I
game
think
with,
so.
and that was fun.
I'm
fucking
surprised
shit,
he didn't get banned. I'm surprised he didn't get banned. It needs to happen again.
bro. We need to
record that
we need
because
to we
the
need to actually
banter-
have an episode where we're in the lobbies of Call of Duty and I'm going hardcore. I miss going off on.
Need to have the old group. Needs to be you, Colin, Reese, and myself.
I remember Bondi and fucking
Bondi came
Smoke.
on.
Smoke could come on as well.
Smoke it, come on.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was just was the banter in some of
Oh
those
man,
lobbies.
when at the end of the game, when the
Fucking
other
hilarious.
lobby had opened, like fuck you, motherfucking cunt, fuck you, yo, fuck your mum, cunt, fuck it, and then, oh man, Call of Duty lobbies.
Took me back to the old Black Ops days.
Oh man, Black Ops 1 and 2, bro. Fucking, I love that, going apeshit and getting in clan wars with motherfuckers. I
Fucking
was
funny.
obsessed with that.
But yeah.
There would have been a time in my life when I would have said gaming. When I come home
But
and
now
there's
it's
nothing
watching
like
movies.
switching off and fucking going into a game. Like you could
Dude.
5-6 hours. Like there's times when you're like, fuck, I better go to bed if I want to get enough sleep for work tomorrow. Like that, they'll be that enthralled in a game. A book, like I have to admit, I don't read enough. I used to like picking up a book and getting into it. Like my dad is someone and my mom is someone. They'll read like 2 or 3 books a week. Like my dad will have a box of books that he will drop off at fucking the Green Shed or Salvos, and then he'll pick up a box of books. Like they are readers. Like my dad will, wherever he is, he will read a book. That's his shit. Like that's his, like, and he'll go through the whole fucking thing in a couple of days. And I wish I was that type of person. And it is important. Like it is a dying thing that I think helps people with their vocabulary and concentration and
Wittiness as well.
Oh
like
man,
it's-
like to understand and read and spelling. Like man, I have a little bit of an issue with the tip of my thumb here. So when I'm typing, my typos are off the hook. But in terms of forming a vocabulary, reading, that's where it's at, and it's important. And because you can, when you're reading, you're listening and you're dissecting someone else's, not just language, but their their rhetoric, their oh man, there's something special in reading. It's like someone's inner monologue you're accepting. It's very special, and it's something that I want to try and get back to doing, like a book a week or a book a month. It's very important. But to answer your question, watch a movie because it just fits in with my life now, in decompressing and just kind of,
Yeah.
But at a
Take the
time
stress
it was gaming, man. But a book, but if I could aspire to something, it would be to read a book.
Cool.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. All right.
Was that your right?
That was my.
Here's me
8.
9. With all of our questions that we've taken into consideration, do you think society is going in the right direction? Do you think we're heading in the right way?
I think we're at a crossroads at the moment. There's several different avenues that we can go, and there's a lot of things happening in the world that's going to determine the outcome and the direction in which society will go. I think we've made a lot of progress. We've got a lot of progress still to make. And and you see this throughout history as well. There is large amounts of progress, and then it becomes stagnant, and then might go back a little, or might go forward and start progressing again. I think we constantly need to progress. In a lot of ways, yes, we are heading in the right direction. In a lot of ways, we've got some work to do to start redirecting ourselves down the right. I think the whole country noticed and made a change in the right direction with current elections over here. For far too long, we were going backwards, I feel. That's not just because of it. It was the Liberal government and the Conservative Party were becoming that stagnant that we were allowing... We got too used to the bullshit. We got too used to some people in power just having their way and getting away with it. I think that's where we need to start doing a lot of work to hold these people accountable and to stop that sort of thing happening again, because we're seeing a lot of distrust, or a lot more distrust, and a lot of the rhetoric from overseas coming over here, and we need to hold ourselves higher than that, because we are doing a lot of things right. We are doing a lot of good things. We need to be proud of that and not get forced backwards by corruption, by I won't say old-fashioned values and shit, but opening our eyes and broadening our minds, I suppose, to new opportunities, and looking at what's happening in the world and going, we can do better than that. So, as a society, yeah, I think we're at that crossroads. I think in the next few years, what's not helping is, we're on the verge of recession at the moment, coming out of COVID and all those sorts of things. So we're either going to go backwards and we're really going to struggle, or we're going to push past it for the better and come out the other side and really, really start kicking goals and moving forward at a pace that's going to be hard to keep up with in a lot of ways. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those things sit and wait, I think. It's very unpredictable.
I think I agree with you. Like, I think we are progressing, and there is progress, but there's always a yin-yang sway to it all. Like, if you're looking at progress as linear as going this way, I feel like it's always, you know what I mean, and like it feels like,
See it as a flow chart,
those
right?
sways,
Go
rough.
that
Yeah.
and that. Like it's constantly dipping, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's going. Whereas before, I felt that we were just on a slow, somewhat decline, or if not, just almost flat. You know, like.
Progress is never fast enough for the people that are the most vulnerable, I think. So when you're viewing it from that aspect, I think it is rough, and it's still rough, and it's gonna be rough, right? But I do think, like, if we were to step back and smell the roses, to cliche the fuck out of this again, I do think you could see that we are making that progress, and sometimes. Yeah. And this is where the centrist in me comes in. Incrementalism is good in some ways because the shock of progress can cause a reverberation and a retaliation back. So, and we're seeing that, you know what I mean, in a lot of things. And I can understand a hearkening back to the good old days because our parents, it was easier for them to buy a house. It was easier for them, you know what I mean? Like if you...
Yeah, but we're not, and this is the thing, we're not going to go back to that.
Yeah.
Ever. We can't.
Yeah.
We're never going to go back to that. So trying to revert back to that or trying to hold on to something that's not going to happen again, we need to move to next thing that we can do. What can we do with what we've got and make it just as good or better?
The times they are a-changing. I think Robert Dylan once said, come get around people wherever you roam and admit that the waters around you have grown. Oh, what a legend.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Number 9.
Number 9 for you. No,
yes.
for me. I already gave you me 9.
Oh, yes, I'm going to ask you this number 9 question.
Oh.
Pat has not left this room. What is the best gift you have ever been given?
Fuck. And you don't mean like the gift of fatherhood or anything like that?
No, I'm talking about...
Fuck. That's a rough one. Like, what is it? That's fucking hard. That is a mad hard. What's someone given to me that I've... Fuck, I do not know.
That flannelette shirt.
The gift, Lowe's. I don't know what you can call it a gift. And I know you're rocking only at Lowe's wear.
Yeah.
Fuck. How deep is a gift? You mean like a material gift, like
anything that you see as a gift? It could be material, could be
not like a child or like a. Because I did that shit too. That's a gift we gave to each other.
Yeah.
Even though it might have only my side of the gift might have only taken a minute or two, including a smoke break.
I feel like that for us though. It's the first port of call is going to the kids. So
yeah, okay. Let's think deeper than that. Gift. Okay. It's a musical style gift. I remember, and I've talked about this before, and it's going to tie into some music that changed the stuff. Mm-hmm. I remember being a little backwards red hat New York Yankees New Era Limp Bizkit hoodie wearing little kid with a chain on me side. And I remember a fella who was a bit older than me, and I would have seen him as a man at the time, but looking back he would have been about 16, 17. And he, I swear to God, and this was back in the day when mixtapes were actual tapes that you had to press stop and record on. And the cover of the tapes, you had to draw and write down the track listings on the back of it and all. And I got something called a Metallamix made for me, which is a mix of Metallica songs. And that changed my whole life, because it took me from being a little kid who liked Limp Bizkit in a group of kids that might not have liked all that, to setting me on a, oh my God, what is heavy metal? And this Liam Brown, I was friends with his little brother, and he came up to us and said, hey, this is music. And he made me a list. He made me a Metallica B and A side, and it changed my whole life. And it made me seek out a local band scene, a local music scene, and it opened up my life to a whole new group of friends that I would have never met if he hadn't gave me that tape, and it would have never set me on the line that I am now. And as a one little gift that someone put so much effort into, that it's such a little silly thing like a cassette tape, and I don't even think it can be comprehended now, because now you can just send people links to songs.
They weren't easy.
It was hard. He would have spent hours putting that together, and he drew the Metallica M and A, and he made it Metallica Mix, and the X was the A at the end of it. And he drew stuff on it, and he read out, and he thought about, okay, I want to take 3 songs from Kill 'Em All, 3 songs from Ride the Lightning, 3 songs from Master Puppets, Switch Side, 3 songs from Justice, 3 songs from Garage Inc., 1 song from Load. You know what I mean? Like, he was meticulous about it. And he gifted it to me, and he gave it to me. It was something that he would have had to bought, like back, it wasn't sending a link to someone for something. He would have had to give me a material thing. And although I've had gifts that are worth more since, I just think the trajectory, and even there's the wedding ring, because my dad got me that rose gold ring that's even, But as far as a trajectory, small thing that someone who probably didn't have a lot of money and took the kindness out of it, and I became someone who then made mixes to me, making a mixtape was something special. Like, I would make, here's a Pantera mix, here's a Metallica mix, here's a Black Sabbath mix, here's a metal mix, that became something I did for people, like.
Yeah.
But for Liam Brown making that gift for me, to set me on a trajectory of music snobbery and mean, and that tape, and I'm gonna even go even further here. Not only did that invite me into a whole community, because then I was into Metallica, I was into Megadeth, I was into all these things, and I got into a band scene. It got me into girls more, like girls now all of a sudden. Wow, I'm in a little sub scene. I'm in a scene now where girls liked me. You know what I mean? I was experimenting in all different crazy ways. That was the gift that changed my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that your number 9?
That was my number 9.
All right. Here's your last one, Vinno. And and you know what? I'm going back to something now. This was something I can't remember who I said this to, but I'm saying it to you now. If you died today, but you had to leave one piece of advice for your children, what would it be?
It's gonna sound pretty cliche.
Be nice to your mother.
No, be yourself, because people will see through the bullshit.
Yep.
And you'll get to an age anyway where any perception that you've tried to portray will be irrelevant anymore. You'll revert back to being yourself eventually. Just be yourself the whole way. And stop running through the fucking hell.
Yes. yeah. And stop fucking around. No, but I like that. Be yourself.
Be yourself. I mean, it sounds cliche, but
no, but it's the ultimate truth, right? Because if you're not being yourself, you're lying to yourself, right? And how can you be happy with that?
Well, you can lose track of yourself.
Yeah.
by doing that, right? And you lose track of what is important to you through trying to be something that you're not.
I think that's epic. I think that's a great. It's simple, and again, we're hitting all the cliches, but they're cliches for a reason. You know,
That's right.
They are. Yeah, I love it.
All right, Dave, you're number 10.
Grand finale.
I asked this question to Colin.
Oh shit!
I'm going to ask it to you.
Is it the Santa Claus one?
No. What is your favorite childhood memory?
Fuck. Favorite childhood memory. How old? What do you mean by childhood? How old? Like, what am I? What's the cutoff?
Pre-teens.
So from 12 and below.
Yep.
That's I don't want to leave too much dead air now by thinking about it. Fuck.
I'll put a countdown timer sound in.
Yeah. Down, 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 down.
9 out of 10 cats does count down.
Oh man, I love that fucking show, man. Jimmy Carr's and fucking Rachel Riley.
And remember, it can't be going to Disneyland because that was cold.
I know, because that would be up there. You know what? And I have vague memories of this, but I just remember it just being so important to me. Can't do that.
Why not?
Because it's not. Like, I'm thinking of other stuff that just supersedes it. Let me have a think. Let me have a little think here. The best. Is it what was the question? State the question again.
What is your favourite childhood memory? I just wanted
And
to
I can't,
say,
'cause
for the first time I've ever got you to fucking shut up.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Legitimately speechless. There's too many competing memories. That's the problem. My favorite childhood memory. So the childhood memory that makes me happiest. I'm gonna say something that's probably not, like, if I was to think about it more, it probably wouldn't be this. But when I look back at it, that bring me such joy, and I just remember giggling my head off. Colin burnt our house down. Never forgive him for that.
The poor guy's never going to live it down.
And he never will. And actually, that's why we got to go to Disneyland. But while our house was being repaired, we had to stay at a hotel called the Sheldon Park Hotel in Dublin. That's what the insurance paid for. And I remember having the time of our life with Colin, going up and down the lifts in that hotel, up and down repeatedly, so much that we fucking annoyed the hotel staff. Our parents were chasing us, and the actual patrons of the hotel couldn't use the lifts because we were just up and down, up and down, up and down. And I just remember having so much fun and getting in so much trouble. And that time at the hotel was so fun because my school lunches were being made by the chef at the hotel as well. Like, he was making me chicken, lettuce, and mayonnaise sandwiches, and it was the first, because we had like little saddies that are fucking sandwiches would be put into, but he used to put them in tin foil. And I just remember it being such a crazy experience living in a hotel and going to school and running around the hotel as our playground. That my favorite memory as a kid, apart from going to Disneyland, was living in a hotel for like 3 fucking 4 months as a kid. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And that's it.
That's cool.
That's gotta be it. Living, like, our home was a hotel, and fucking making it as kids shit for people that were just trying to live in a hotel. No, that were just trying to have like a weekend or a week in a hotel. They're like, who are these fucking kids that are acting like this is their house, playing with figures on the stairs of a hotel, and you know what I mean, like trying to make it our home. Yeah. But everybody,
Well,
do you have anything to say?
no, mate. No, I think we've.
That's got to be us. Where we're closing in on the 2:45 3-hour mark on the character study that is the Dave and Vinno show. Us. Raise your bottles. I've only a little piss beak bit left. You got a little bit left. You're gonna knock that back. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for indulging us. And like and subscribe. Means a lot to us. Very important for the channel. If you want to come on, come on. But other than that, thanks for coming on the ride. Thanks, Vinno, for the questions. And thank you for watching.
Keep it real.
Keep it real and stay safe.